local. LA Sports Talk.
The home of the 9-hour LA Sports Mega Block.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking.
We call it the LAX. LA Sports Mega Block. Of course, powered every day by LAX. Los Angeles International Airport, where change arrives daily. Let's get to it. Time to get in the air. We're taking off, LA.
We have clearance, Clarence.
Roger. What's our vector, Victor?
Travis and Sliwa has clearance right now.
Yeah! Roar! There it is, yes. As long as Emily got hers. And by the way, I mean, basically a veteran after yesterday. Yesterday, everybody stopped. This just sounded very natural. AK, I could almost see her last night working till 7, 8 o'clock working on her roar.
I think she nailed it the first time around. No work is required.
All right, we got kind of, I'll be honest, a lot going on today. We have, let's put kind of the sports to the side for a quick second here. I might be the last one to have actually seen Oppenheimer.
You're not the last.
Okay, I'm second to last. I think you're second to last here. I went and finally saw it. I want to spend some time on just my review of it. We have our draft coming up. What time we do draft? Noon, right? Noon? Draft at noon. So we'll make sure to do that as well. And then just from a sports perspective, a lot of good angles on the Dodgers, the Angels, the Lakers. See how big of a setback the Cooper Kupp injuries for the Rams. So we got a lot that we're going to get into. 3-hour movie. About 3? A little bit more?
3 and a little change.
3 and a little change?
Let me get the actual timing.
Okay, 3 and a little change.
Well, the musical number's like 7 minutes.
Yeah, and I stayed for the at the end thinking, hey, are they going to do something? No, there was nothing else. Go use the restroom and leave the damn theater.
There's no Easter eggs in the closing credits for Oppenheimer 2?
Nobody got up at the credits. So because nobody got up, I'm like, do they know something that I don't know?
Post-credit scene.
I had no idea
just
what
Albert
was going
Einstein doing E equals MC square.
It's not even
He finally
that.
finds his hat.
No, it's not even that. It's him just walking along the water for another 7, 8 minutes.
and losing his hat again.
Interestingly, they cut to a Marvel character. I couldn't believe it, but there's a Marvel Easter egg at the end of Oppenheimer.
There's actually a secret 1-hour addition to the movie if you wait till after the credits.
Of course.
Okay, your thoughts before I even get into the actual movie. Your thoughts on a 3-hour movie, and when will you see it? Because you said that you want to see it, you just have a difficult time carving out time with the family.
It's difficult between work schedules and kid schedules to find a time where I can see the movie. Like, there's not a movie my wife and I can take our daughter to. Like, I don't know if it's appropriate. I know she'll be bored.
Yeah.
So
she'll love it. There's so many
3-hour biopic epic.
There's so many. You know how they make like kids movies, but they also keep the adults in mind. Mm-hmm. That's what Oppenheimer's doing.
Good.
They kept the kids in mind when they created this movie.
So it's just difficult for me to find the time block. And if I'm being totally honest, I can't see this movie at like 10:30. After she's going to bed.
Too late.
I saw 7, and even 7 I think was a little like.
So
if I could find a little.
I'm going on vacation next week. I probably am not going to be able to see this movie until I get back from vacation.
Okay.
But I really want to see it. I'm really confident it's still going to be in theaters on good screens.
Just watch it on your phone, on an airplane someday, just with your AirPods as your sound.
Is it streaming on Max by the time I get on this plane?
Probably.
I think in a plane, 2-inch screen,
I think it actually would be on Peacock because he's not with Warner Brothers anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Peacock,
August 10th, it's on USA. All right, starting August 10th. USA and TNT.
With commercials, it's a 6-hour movie.
It's basically, though, a movie about the science Avengers. Like, it's like if you ever watch the movie Avengers, it's just like creating this team of scientists.
For all those that said, hey, look, it's slow, there really isn't that much action, it's a lot of talking, everything else.
That anyone said it was slow. It has a lot of energy, but there's a lot of talking.
A lot of talking. I will say this. Really, really good movie. I have a short attention span, so no matter what, whether it's 2 hours or 3 hours, I'm going to find myself doing other things during the movie. But it wasn't a knock on the movie. It wasn't being disrespectful. But sometimes you got to go look at the MLB standings real quick when you're in a movie.
Alan.
Sometimes you got to go on the Associated Press and just take a quick look if there's anything else going on.
Check out Lakers Daily on Twitter.
It's a shame they didn't cast Nick Van Exel as one of Oppenheimer's assistants.
I said MLB standings. I didn't say NBA standings. Okay.
Sure.
It's 3 hours long.
Yeah.
You never look at your phone for 3 hours?
I looked at my watch to see the time.
Okay.
To see where I was in the movie. But
Okay.
no, I do not use my phone during movies at all.
Okay. Jorge?
Eduardo Rodriguez was casted. He said, no, I don't want to go to the movie.
Jorge, 3 hour movie, you never look at your phone?
No.
You never look at
I
your phone?
never look at my phone. As a matter of fact, even when I'm having dinner with Brenda, we don't look at our phones.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
If I'm watching a movie at home, I will look at my phone. But if I'm in the theater, not a chance.
I paid, $30 to watch a movie? I'm not going to be on my phone.
I'm not saying be on your phone like you're streaming another movie while that movie's going on.
Which people have done.
Alan's on his phone because he's bootlegging the movie.
Yeah.
But other than that.
Stop shaking your hand.
Sir, I need you to crouch down a little bit.
I'm aware of my surroundings. I know that it's not the movie etiquette to take a look at your phone and everything else. It's impossible that I'm going to sit through a 3 hour movie.
It's not impossible.
It's impossible for me to sit through a 3 hour movie and not take some glances at my phone. It's not just, I'm not trying to disrespect the movie, but that's going to happen. Jorge, I'm a little surprised that you are not at all. Emily, I'm not surprised that you left your phone in your car.
I just think that it's, otherwise
my
just watch
girl
it at
doesn't
home.
look. Yeah, my girl doesn't look.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much like looking at her like, hey, do you want to look at my phone? There's some really interesting stuff going on in the internet. But the actual movie, badass movie. Really, really good. You're going to enjoy it. I know everybody's got their own reviews on it. I'm glad I saw it. There was a little bit of, 6 o'clock rolled around. I'm like, do I want to go sit and watch a 3 hour movie tonight? I'm actually really happy that I went and saw it. Solid movie. Really good movie. And a lot more entertaining and exciting than I thought it was going to be. But whenever you get a chance, go see it, and I think you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah, I really want to be there.
What's that?
So many words.
It's
words. Like the amount of words per minute it's shocking, especially because before I saw Oppenheimer, I watched Dunkirk, just kind of get myself in the Nolan mind space, and has no words, essentially, in Dunkirk. It's the exact opposite of that movie.
Yeah, I've actually been looking forward to this, A, because it looks good, B, it's been so well received by critics, by people I know have seen it. I think Nolan has been due for a good movie for a while. I don't think he's made a really good one since Inception.
I don't disagree with you. I don't think Dunkirk's a bad movie. I
didn't like Dunkirk.
That's fine. It's fine. I just think that it was definitely a very good movie. So, do you want to give a full review, or we're going to tease that later on?
No, I'm to be honest, I think I think more than anything else, I thought what would be more entertaining was the fact that I was looking at my phone, and I was more curious if you guys were looking at your phone on that as well. Okay, so we got a little bit of, I think this was yesterday that we got some of the information. Obviously, trade deadline was a couple days ago, but Eduardo Perez, who did not, I thought there was just a little bit more to it that I wanted to spend a little bit of time on. So Dodgers have played 2 games since the trade deadline, beat the mighty Oakland A's 2 games in a row. They got one more game with them tonight, and then they're off to San Diego for a 4-game set, which probably doesn't mean all that much to the Dodgers. It could spell one way or the other for the Padres based on what happens in that series.
Yeah, they need the well-traveled Rich Hill to come through if he's got to start over those 4 days.
They need Rich Hill to be the Rich Hill that he's been for 27 years.
They need him to be Dick
Major
Mountain.
League Baseball.
They need him to be Dick Mountain in that moment.
So there was a statement from Eduardo Rodriguez's agent, Gene Mado, on the vetoed Dodgers trade. This is what he said. We did our best to come up with a way to make it happen where everyone was comfortable with the outcome. Unfortunately, we just ran out of time. There was maybe this one's a little bit harsh, but Ken Rosenthal put in the winners and the losers of the Eduardo Rodriguez. Let's just put it this way. There was no winners at all. I don't know how you're going to find really a winner in all this. But basically his point that he made, and I thought this was the most interesting of any of the points out there, that he said, while it might be harsh to call Rodriguez a loser, he also did not come out ahead. He could have enhanced his appeal as a free agent by pitching for a World Series contender in a large market, but instead potentially diminished his value by declining to leave the Tigers for the first-place Dodgers. And he just kind of went on. I know yesterday we said a little bit about it, what some of his reasoning was. And why is this a big deal? It's a big deal because Dodgers need freaking pitching, and that was basically the best available pitcher that you had leading up to the end of the trade deadline. And I think the more details that I've got on the reason why he didn't go, the more I don't understand why he didn't go.
I mean, it's an unusual decision. There's no question. Like, the idea of being closer to his family really makes no sense considering he's in Detroit. They're either in Detroit with him or they're in Florida. It seems like one or the other, but the Florida piece of it doesn't really – there's no real difference if one of them is in Detroit versus L.A. You're nowhere close regardless.
Yep.
Apparently from this report, Rodriguez was thinking about, like, what would disrupt them more, but I kind of feel like the reality is right now it's summer, so in this sense it doesn't really matter. If you want to have your child start the school year, I guess, still in Detroit or still in Florida, like, the truth is
2-month rental. That's it. It's
well,
2 months.
the truth is Rodriguez may end up on a different team this coming season anyway. Which means
because he's looking for money, and why would the Tigers pay him when they're not competing?
Right, which means his family is going to be disrupted in some way, shape, or form. I guess unless maybe he goes to the Marlins or the Rays, like something like that. Like it feels like one way or the other, because of his situation, whether you're talking about trade deadline or whether you're talking about upcoming free agency, they're going to have to make changes either way. It was also pointed out that he spent 2 months on the restricted list dealing with a marital issue. So I don't know.
I think that was last year.
Right. So I don't know if maybe there's something about his relationship with his wife where, maybe she was uncomfortable with the idea of relocating to the West Coast or something like that. And that's fine. I mean, these are things that go on in a family. It just feels there's a lot of dots that need connecting that feel like they're very far spaced from each other.
And I don't think they're going to get connected. I think that initially you're going to get probably the most information you're going to get once you get the mic in front of these players or these agents or these. It's going to happen right after the deadline. I don't know if all these dots are going to be connected moving forward. Eduardo Perez, by the way, also ghosted a few of his former teammates. I guess Mookie Betts had texted him. J.D. Martinez had texted him.
He seems like he's a complicated guy.
And he didn't respond back. You've done that to me.
Yeah.
But I didn't take it personal. I just thought you just didn't want to talk to me.
You should have taken it personal. That's why I was doing it.
Thank you, man. I appreciate you doing that. I appreciate that, AK.
I mean, I would have blocked my no trade clause to Pasadena if it meant being closer to you.
I love that. That's how you do it. Just to Pasadena. What's our what did we end up with, Jorge? What was our count yesterday with Taylor Swift? We ended up
13.
With 13.
Yes.
What did we end up with the day before?
13.
See the pattern here. Come on.
Don't do it again.
Come on.
Don't do it again.
I don't know.
Don't do it again, Emily.
Maybe. I went to a fun thing last night, too, and I can talk about the other side. Having to do with
Give me
the
a little
artist
tease.
Taylor Swift.
Okay. All right. So there's one
There you
right
go.
there. There's one right there.
She's manipulating this game. There's no way around it. Emily is absolutely manipulating this thing.
Walker Buehler is potentially set to come back in September. It's a little more complicated than that. We'll spend a little time. Obviously, we know how desperate the Dodgers are for pitching. Do they push Walker Buehler a little bit more than they would if they weren't in the situation that they were in? We'll do that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN. All right, dealing with a dead battery, head to AutoZone, America's #1 battery destination. They offer free battery services like free battery testing and free battery charging. Their free battery testing can help you know if you need a new battery or not, or if you're in need of a fresh charge. And if you do happen to need a replacement battery, they can help you with that too. And they're the only place you can find proven, tough, Duralast batteries. So next time you're having battery trouble, head to AutoZone, your battery solution in America's #1 battery destination.
So Al and I are teaming up for your chance to win an entire office full of lunch from Waba Grill. So you're going to want to be listening all day during the 12 o'clock lunch hour for your cue to call to pick up food for the entire office, courtesy of Waba Grill.
We got some ribeye, we got some chicken, we got some shrimp.
I'm making it sound like I cooked them myself. Look at these boom boom tacos.
You can visit wabagrill.com. You can order online. Just go on in, get yourself some of these tacos. Visit your local Waba Grill location. Of course, walk right in. Of course, you can order online for delivery or pickup. Waba Grill, right? Eat smart, be healthy. Boom boom, kaboom.
Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
So this is Teardrops on My Guitar from Taylor Swift on her self-entitled album, Taylor Swift. So that's up to 3.
Oh, hey, I need hip-hop the rest of the show. I need hip-hop and reggae the rest of the show.
But let me just explain a story about this song. So the song's called Teardrops on My Guitar, and this came out in 2006. So my little sister was 4 years old. My little sister that also is coming to the Eras tour with me, she's arriving today. And the song's called Teardrops on My Guitar, and she thought that... So the line is, he's the reason for the teardrops in my guitar. And she thought that this guy was leaning over Taylor Swift's guitar and crying onto her guitar. And her little four-year-old head brain. And it's very cute. So that's why I like this song, because I think it's a funny story with my sister.
That's what I thought, too.
Yeah, tell me something I didn't know, Emily.
Of course.
I thought it was the same exact thing. How are you feeling about Saturday? This is
excited.
It's sneaking up here. Is it starting to get a little bit more?
Yeah. So tonight's the first show. So it all starts. So yesterday they opened the merch line at SoFi Stadium.
I think I'm going to go to the Target across the street from SoFi today.
Yeah. Good
to
luck.
pick up a couple things.
Well, I mean, what part of SoFi are you going to be out there selling your bootleg Taylor gear?
This merch line,
the north side,
was 5.5 hours long just to purchase merchandise. And like people, because she only allots a certain amount of merchandise per venue, not per date.
Yeah.
So if you wanted to get merchandise, you want to go early. And I did not wait in this line because, one, I already got my merchandise that I wanted online, and two, the merchandise sucks. So I'm like, why are we waiting in a 5.5 hour line for this?
You go to Sliwa's cart, you get some bootleg Taylor gear,
Right.
you get a bacon wrapped dog.
I
It's
have
all right there.
I have a
Sliwa's
Dodge
little shop.
I have a Dodge Caravan where I open up the back and it's all set up. It's all set
See,
up.
I thought
there.
you had like a big coat. I thought you opened up your big coat. Like on one side you got the bacon wrapped dogs,
Okay.
the other side Taylor shirts.
Is this safe to say? Anybody who's waiting 5.5 hours for merch and
That's
all this
crazy.
stuff,
I don't even support that.
is it safe to say, look, give Taylor Swift all the credit, all that stuff. This is a little extreme here. Like the
heat in August.
the Taylor Swift thing, and it's not just Taylor Swift. I'm sure there's people who are extreme when it comes to sports and other stuff. That's a little too much there. I don't really know what to do with that information. Somebody that's saying they're waiting 5.5 hours for merch.
So the merch line, I think it opened at like 10 a.m. in the morning or something like that. People were lining up at 4:45 in the morning to get these freaking blue crew neck sweatshirts that are available. I'm just like, this is the part of the group of Swifties that I do not understand.
How much is a sweatshirt?
It's $75 to $80. It's just expensive for a sweatshirt that is poorly made and ill-designed. I'm just going to say that out there.
Those are the people, by the way, who have time to see Oppenheimer. Like,
Yes.
they can absolutely carve out that space to go see that movie. Like,
Yes.
I'm in a certain way, I'm jealous of these people.
But tell me what the difference is when it's Black Friday and people are going out at, I don't know, they're camping out in front of a Walmart.
Stores are open all night now.
But they're
It's different.
But even back in the
Yeah,
day, it's
back
like
then.
you're camping out for 6 hours so you can get that 42-inch.
But at least it's a sale. At least
42
it's
inch
something more
for-
useful
for
than Taylor
half
Swift
the price.
merchandise. Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand. And people will like go and like resell this, like even the merchandise for like way overpriced. I'm like, y'all do you. I
Yeah.
am not gonna do that. I already got my merchandise. I'm good to go. I did go to a Taylor Swift event at Truly at the Arts District, and so they had both like a listening party and like you could make friendship bracelets and stuff. So I went with my friend. It was really fun. K-Cal came.
that doesn't sound nearly as normal, Emily, as you'd like to think that it does.
Hey.
After your big rant against these people waiting in
merchandise.
line.
Hey, no, but it's a fun experience to go and be around other Swifties, talk. I'm not spending $80 on merchandise. Doesn't matter. I'm sitting there listening to Taylor Swift with other Taylor Swift fans and buying alcohol, and it's a good idea from Truly. Honestly, they
It's a
made a
lot.
lot of money last night.
It's a lot.
It is a lot.
The Taylor Swift world is that's a very committed world.
It's not unlike deadheads or parrot heads that go and follow and want to be in this area for a week-long time, be around other deadheads or parrot heads, and just enjoy that experience of being a committed fan to these people.
Where are we all going tonight to listen to? Where are they doing it tonight? Well, she's gonna be
Tonight there's
doing her show. Yeah.
a pre-party at Manhattan Beach, which I'm going to go to.
You
Take
really,
your sister, right?
You
I'm
can't
taking
get
my
any
friend
more.
Christine.
Okay.
you're doing everything other than
very
the merch
committed.
line.
Yes, because I'm not going to spend $80 on the merch line and
Plus,
waiting.
she already got her merch.
I'm not waiting in line in the hot sun. I'm going to go be in a fun hotel happy hour with themed drinks and to just have that kind of fun stuff. That is more what I want to do than wait in a 5.5 hour line.
I'm disappointed that you've done everything but the merch line. I think
I
the
already
merch,
purchased it.
The merch line.
Yeah, like why would you buy merch if you already have it though? I
gonna
understand.
resell
And
it.
okay, guys, the difference is
Resell.
it's like waiting in line for a T-shirt for the Raiders or going to a Raiders tailgate. Like that's that's two different experiences, and so that's why I'd rather go to a tailgate.
Well, the 5.5 hour
waiting
thing.
line.
Yeah, you're right. There's nothing on that. All right, ESPN LA and Hollywood Park Casino are giving 12 fantasy football commissioners the chance to win a fantasy football season experience, including the Ultimate Fantasy Draft Party for their ESPN Fantasy Football Leagues and weekly prizes throughout the season. Register now at ESPNLA.com. Scroll for the Hollywood Park Casino logo. Very, very easy. Again, just go to the website. You could register, and we'll see you on Friday, August 18th at HPC, Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, and draft. AK, there was we kind of sat here and we've talked so much about the Dodgers situation and look at how thin they are in pitching, and you almost kind of forget that they're not thin in pitching by any other reason more than, look, Julio has not been the Julio that you were expecting. Gonsolin's been very inconsistent. But at the end of the day, Dustin May, out for the year. Walker Buehler, obviously we know his situation from last season, out for the year, potentially. He could come back, and I'm going to get into this in September. A lot of the issues that the Dodgers have, it's not that they don't have talent. It's a lot of their talent has just been unavailable. Article on ESPN, 10 returning players as good as a trade deadline blockbuster. Of course, Mike Trout is on that list for the Angels. One of the players that's being talked about is Walker Buehler. He's in an interesting situation, and I want to properly kind of explain. He has an expected return date sometime in September. Walker Buehler is, when he's on...
Well, potential, by the way. Potential. Like I think expected is too strong.
Yes, I think you're right at that. Well,
his goal was September 1st. And this is that was from ESPN, said the expected return date is sometime in September. But again, that's very high hopes.
We'll read part of the article. It says Buehler is in the late stages of recovery from his second Tommy John surgery. He's been throwing bullpen sessions in Arizona and can soon progress to facing hitters. Let's see what else here. Last week, Dodgers manager Dave Roberts called getting Buehler back in some capacity before the end of the regular season a viable possibility.
Right.
I'm going to leave it at that. And you're not wrong to say you're basically asking for everything to go perfect.
Right. I just want to make sure that fans don't get upset at Buehler or feel like there's some type of setback if on September 1st he's not throwing 100 miles an hour. That's all.
Sure. Well, and I think part of the article talking about how, again, 10 returning players, that's basically as good as a trade deadline. You have not got a chance to use Walker Buehler all year, and we know what Walker Buehler is and what he's been for the Dodgers throughout his career. I find this kind of interesting because I think how cautious you are about, guys, let's not just pretend Walker Buehler's coming back September and he's going to be Walker Buehler. I wonder how much pressure is on. I don't think there is. I mean, for me personally, I get where the Dodgers are. I get how desperate they are for pitching. You're not going to risk Walker Buehler. You're not going to risk bringing him back early from this type of surgery because, hey, we're in September. We could really use another starting pitcher. Wow, we're making our push here. I don't think that there's any pressure on the organization, even though it might sound like, well, you got to bring him back. Hurry and bring him back. The guy's coming off a Tommy John surgery.
He's too important for this team, both in the present and in the future. And also, too, he is earliest arbitration eligible in 2024, free agency 2025. If he screws this thing up and then has to spend a large chunk of 2024 recovering from re-aggravating that Tommy John surgery, then all of a sudden he could be costing himself money.
Second Tommy John surgery.
Right. He could be costing himself money. He could be costing himself the prime of his career.
Sure. Because
he rushed himself back in what would be not really reasonable expectations, like a reasonable timeline.
There are, you kind of look at the pressure that comes with the Dodgers, the pressure of, we spent a lot of time this time about Andrew Friedman these last couple of days. Hey, how come you did not, how come you didn't find a way to just put yourself in a position where pitching was less of an issue? And then you got Buehler potentially coming back in September. I'm sure there's a lot of people, let's put it this way, I wouldn't depend on Walker Buehler if I'm a Dodger fan. I wouldn't be saying to myself, Buehler's coming back in September, and it's going to be the Buehler that I'm accustomed to. I wouldn't do that. I don't know how you feel about that, but it just doesn't feel like it's just too big of a risk to think that this man, after spending basically 12 months off the field, is going to come back and be ready.
Well, here's the thing, too. If he's not really ready, he has a large chance of re-injuring himself. Mm-hmm. And then at that point, he doesn't help you in this postseason, and he's not available to help you for a large chunk of next season.
Yeah.
So it really does nobody any good to push him back when he's really not ready. Like, I get it. It's the playoffs. You're trying to make a push. The National League feels really wide open. Like, I get all of that. Mm-hmm. But if somebody's not ready, particularly a pitcher with a history of the same injury, you're not doing anybody any favors by pushing him back.
All right, the Mets and the Angels had pretty much the same odds to make the playoffs, percentage-wise. This was before the trade deadline. Steve Cohen took a completely different approach than Artie Moreno. And I want to read off a couple quotes because I thought it was interesting how honest he was about the situation, about trading Scherzer, about trading Verlander, and how that kind of compares to the Angels as well. Steve Cohen talking about hope for sustainability. So we'll do that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN. All right, we are experiencing a roadway safety crisis, and we need your help. Join the Go Safely movement and share your thoughts on what actions are needed to make our roads safer. Very, very important message from Go Safely California. They're doing everything they can to try to get opinions and thoughts from residents out here in Southern California to try to find ways to make the road safer. We know how much time we spend on the roads. If you can please visit gosafelyca.org. That's gosafelyca.org. And take a brief survey. Only takes a few minutes. Would really, really help. Go Safely California from the California Office of Traffic Safety.
So we got Scott Kaplan. He's in this afternoon show, Sedano and Cap. Scott Kaplan.
The confidence is up there. That goes without saying. I've always thought that, where you wear Nikes with a suit, it can be kind of a tacky look. But if you don't wear an undershirt and you wear those glasses, then maybe it pulls it together. So I'm going to give that one, just for the fact that he knows what he's doing, I'm going to give him a 6.
Would you wear that yourself?
No. Never, ever, ever be seen in that.
Honestly, suit's not bad. The no undershirt raises it up a little bit to where I'd probably say 8.5.
Would you wear that fit?
100%.
Shoes on point. I get at a 7 too.
Would you do the same thing? Show the little taco meat?
I definitely show the chest. Gotta show the chest.
I ain't gonna lie, it's different. You got the Dior shoes on it. The nice hat. I like the glasses. No shirt with the chain. He get a 10. I give my man an 8. I give him an 8 out of 10. He nice little drip.
Do you think you can pull that off with no shirt?
Nah, I don't think I can pull it out like he pull it out. Nah,
But do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the right strategy?
No.
Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
The Travis and Sliwa Show has teamed up with Waba Grill to give away lunch for your office. Listen tomorrow during the Waba Grill lunch hour on 710 for the cue to call, and you could be the Waba Grill Workplace of the Week. That's tomorrow on 710 ESPN. Of course, Waba Grill is hooking you up. Thanks to Waba Grill. Waba Grill, eat smart, be healthy, and of course at noon you can catch AK. He does it for 15 minutes, contractually obligated to spin the Waba Grill Boom Boom Tacos.
Nobody told me about this before I signed on for this week for Travis.
Yeah, we actually, it's kind of funny the way we did it.
The back of the sign, actually.
Yeah, it's the terms and conditions we didn't want you to see, but you signed it anyways. It's like when you go, you get a new phone or something.
No, it's the fine print.
Yeah.
Nobody reads the fine print. This is why you should do it.
Yeah, when they tricked you into getting the Google phone, now we get green bubbles.
Did you guys see Giannis's post about
green bubbles?
Google Pixel? Okay, so I guess the story behind this, he's the spokesperson.
Well, no, he gets paid for it, so
yeah. But he's the spokesperson,
right.
And he explained what happened. I guess it was an all-star game or maybe a slam dunk contest or something like that. He's out recording on his phone, and he had a Google Pixel phone. and people were, oh my gosh, this guy has a Google Pixel phone.
Yeah.
And then because of that, Google reached out to him. I don't know if he reached out to them, they reached out, and they put a partnership together. So he's laughing in the comments of Twitter, while you guys laughed at my Google Pixel phone, I've been getting paid by Google Pixel for 2 years.
So you're looking to get paid by Google.
I'm just saying, a little live endorsement here. I mean, everybody else has iPhone. I asked my girl this yesterday. We were going to the movie, and I asked her, I said, can you help me understand why iPhone people are so upset about, not everybody, but I'd say a good 94.5% are so upset. I'm like, I actually genuinely don't understand why they're so angry that somebody else has an Android or a Pixel phone.
Okay.
So she explained to me she has an iPhone, and by the way, she doesn't care that I have a Google phone.
Sure, of course.
But
She doesn't tell you that she cares.
Yeah.
Sure. But when she was done explaining why, I still sat there and said, this is the biggest overreaction.
All right, well, what'd she say?
Anybody. She said that, okay, the light or the green and the blue, which, by the way, is the most ridiculous thing that people actually care about that. The only thing that she said that I kind of understand, the group texts.
Yeah, group
text sounds like it. I don't know what it screws up, but it screws up something. So obviously, Apple and the iPhone.
The non-Apple people often get their texts late.
Yep.
They're not in sync with everybody else. Like my fantasy football league.
And the video.
Anniversary, yeah, right.
My fantasy football league.
You were trying to text your wife saying that
Yep. One of the guys in the league, there's 12 of us. One of them doesn't have an iPhone.
Yep.
He's got some type of Android or whatever.
Yeah.
There was a text chain with basically the entire league.
Mm-hmm.
There's now a separate one that doesn't involve him because he was just basically messing up the rhythm of this chat.
So I guess here's my question.
Of this chain.
Whose fault is this?
His.
Is it the Android's fault, or does the iPhone need to get some better technology?
The Android's fault.
Android's fault.
The iPhone needs to get some better technology and update whatever it's doing.
No, they're doing this on purpose. They don't want people to get iPhones. They're not going to improve, or sorry, they don't want people to get non-iPhones. They're not going to approve their things because of the social issues.
So let me get this right.
Yeah.
So iPhone does not want – iPhone can make sure the technology is all good.
Yeah.
Chooses not to because they're just monopolizing the iPhone.
Yep, and I love my iPhone.
Why would they create reasons for non-iPhone users to stay not using an iPhone?
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
Why wouldn't you just accommodate to what's in the best so you don't have your issues with your text messages?
Why would you have to accommodate the minority? The majority of people are using the iPhone.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, a majority of America.
I was going to say, I think it's the majority of people in the States. Android, Samsung, and everything else, I think
they're
it's
big everywhere
pretty
else.
damn popular.
Okay, that's
across
why then
the world.
everybody also has to get a WhatsApp, and so then they can all chat on the WhatsApp. It's so annoying. But okay, Alan, the biggest issue for me, specifically with you having a Google Pixel, is that when you send links in group chats with green bubble people, the links don't show up.
You have to click on it.
So you have to click on it and do extra things. Because especially during the show, if I want to send you something that's just a tweet, what someone says in a tweet to you in the show,
you
cannot see
Twitter.com.
You can't see the text of the tweet. You only see Twitter.com, so that it just takes an extra level of thing.
Wait, but the link goes directly to what you're sending.
Yes,
but if it's an all iPhone text chain, you would see immediately what it is without clicking on it.
So I got the solution.
No, you
don't.
Alan.
No,
Stop.
Alan, you
we
don't.
all get the Pixel.
Nah.
Nope.
I'm so never. This is
let
now
me expose
just
you
become,
real quick. Let me expose you real quick.
This has now just become too stubborn.
Hold on. I'm going to expose you real quick. This man has a Google Pixel phone.
Yeah.
iMac.
I do have a
And
Mac.
you have the Apple Watch.
And I have the Apple
How
Watch.
does that work?
Well, I had all those before.
Right.
So I didn't buy them after.
So then, now that you're with Google, are you going to get a Microsoft whatever?
A Google Watch or
a Surface. Google Watch.
Here's the thing.
Are you going to switch everything?
I don't even know what exists. I don't know what exists for that.
I feel like you just got talked into a Google Pixel when you went to the store, and now you're just trying to
Well, you know what the Google
justify
Pixel people are right now? The Google Pixel people are the equivalent of the music snobs who decide that they hate a band once they join a major label. Like, they hang on to their indie roots.
They sold out.
Oh, yeah. sellouts. Like that's
this
what
is
the
good.
Google Pixel people are. Like they're hanging on to the indie roots of their phone.
As somebody
they're not
who's
being a
had-
joiner.
As somebody who's had iPhone for I probably had it for 10, 12 years, maybe even more than that.
Since the 5?
What's that?
Since the iPhone 5 was out? That was my first one.
I don't know. I've
iPhone
had
4.
I've had it for a long time. It's just funny to me what getting a different phone has triggered to so many people, and it's not.
It's because our group chats suck now. I cannot send the same things to you and to Travis. I had to send individually to both of you.
Like for me, I don't care. Like when I had the iPhone,
Yeah, you're not the one doing the extra work.
No,
of course you don't care.
No. When I had the iPhone, if somebody else had a Pixel or Android, whatever, or Samsung, I literally paid zero attention to it. It's just funny to me that now I'm the one with it, and everybody has a reaction and a comment. I've never been more proud of Google Pixel, and I'm just saying, if we have a live endorsement in the future, I think it would stand out.
I'm
a little
happy
bit.
for you, and you can be on your own little island over there with your Google Pixel.
It sounds like I'm 100% on my own little island. Okay,
sellouts.
We're not.
I found the solution. This guy.
But you know the way I got sold on the phone too? I went to Apple to go buy the iPhone. I think at the time was the 14 was just coming out. They didn't have any left. And there's like, okay, hey, it's going to take a second for this. And then my girl tells me, hey, somebody at my office travels all the time, does this, has a Google Pixel. He really likes it. I basically got sold from my girl on the Google Pixel.
Throwing Lady Slee under the bus. Not
For
cool.
real, chivato. Dog.
She's got all iPhone.
Not cool.
She's the one that bought me my Apple Watch. I don't know what she was trying to do. She's the one that got me off this whole thing.
He was trying to sow hate and discontent. That's what. He was
Lady
trying to
Slee,
do.
if you'd like to call in 877-710 ESPN.
You can airdrop.
Hey, no, you cannot. Hey, Foo. Did you see? Is coming up next. We'll get into some of that stuff. I mentioned about the Steve Cohen and the Mets. Looks like Dylan Hernandez from the LA Times going to join us at 11:15. You mentioned, he's been very, very critical on the Dodgers. Would like to get some of his thoughts on that.
Dylan's often very critical of the moves organizations in sports make. I used to cover the Dodgers with Dylan. This is the way Dylan's always been. But he takes strong stances and he writes well about them.
He said some stuff about you, too, that came out of nowhere.
That's fine.
So.
Whatever. I'm
Hey,
here.
Food,
he knows where to find me.
Coming up next, stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN, presented by Google Pixel.
So Al and I are teaming up for your chance to win an entire office full of lunch from Waba Grill. So you're going to want to be listening all day during the 12 o'clock lunch hour for your cue to call to pick up food for the entire office, courtesy of Waba Grill.
We got some ribeye, we got some chicken, we got some shrimp.
I'm making it sound like I cooked them myself. Look at these boom boom tacos.
You can visit wabagrill.com. You can order online. Just go on in, get yourself some of these tacos. Visit your local Waba Grill location. Of course, walk right in. Of course, you can order online for delivery or pickup. Waba Grill, right? Eat smart, be healthy. Boom, boom, kaboom.
Travis and Sliwa, and it's time for the segment we do around this time, 10:40 a.m. on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Hey, did you see that sky today?
Did you guys see that?
Basically, the days we don't do Ask Slee, we do this thing. It's called Hey, Did You See?
Did you see that?
I saw it. I did it.
Did you see the memo about this?
I mean, I'm excited. You can tell by my read. Hey, did you see? Did you happen to see? It's time for Hey, Did You See?
Hey, man, did you touch my drum set?
Have you read this? Right now on Travis and Sliwa.
What's going on, Jorge?
What's up, foos? So, hey, did you see? Time for Hey, did you see? So, on Twitter, I saw this, and we talked about it in the meeting, I guess. Rudy Gobert made a three-pointer for the first time in his career, and he said, quote, "Tonight, I feel like I lost my virginity." When was the last time you did something and you felt really good about yourself?
When you won Host of the Year?
Okay, first off, the Rudy Gobert comparing that for hitting a three-pointer. I kind of get it for Gobert.
You gotta accomplish something.
In today's NBA, I mean, hell, we've seen Dwight Howard step back and take threes, right?
To quote the great Andrew Bynum,
Uh-huh.
Rudy Gobert is expanding his game.
He's expanding his game.
Expanding his game.
The fact that Gobert took a three, I'm sure that one felt amazing. All right, I'm trying to think here. There's stupid things. Look, the Mandy Awards, yes, awesome, amazing. But there are
But not stupid.
No, that one not stupid. But I'm saying there's stupid things that happen that you feel really good about, okay? It could be, sometimes it's like the timing of things. You walk into a restaurant, the place is packed, but the fact that there's only you and her, and there's only
the window.
and there's only one seat, and it's like either at the bar or by the window. Like, there's stupid things that happen in your life where you're like, this is awesome. It doesn't have to be something amazing and great. It could be a small thing that you just appreciate. That's kind of what I tie it up to.
Anytime I fix anything around the house, because I'm so bad at that stuff.
You're basically a licensed contractor compared to me.
I don't know, man. If we had a fix-off, that could be a very entertaining debacle. I'm really bad with most of that stuff. Anytime I successfully fix anything, I feel like I just won the presidency or something. It feels like that big of a feat.
I've told this story a couple of times. One of my close friends is a contractor, general contractor, literally builds homes from ground up. And when him and I walk into Home Depot together, let's say he's running an errand, I'm with him. We walk into Home Depot, and he's on the contractor side, right? So the entrance is different. You pay different. Everything is different. And they go, "Hey, Ryan, how you doing? Hey, Ryan, how you doing?" I walk in there, and I'm like, do I get Twizzlers? Do I get a Mountain Dew? Like, what am I getting from here? Because I don't know what else I would buy from here.
I'm so bad at that stuff. When I was at USC, I was a theater major, and one of the classes we had to take was stagecraft, which is like, building sets, setting up lights, that sort of thing. And my professor, the late great John Blankenship, who had been teaching theater and specifically USC for like 40 years, 50 years, something like. He'd been there forever. Mm-hmm. He told me straight up, "You are the worst stagecraft student I have ever had. Ever."
And then he said, "Go have a good weekend."
He said,
"I was on a Friday afternoon. Enjoy your weekend."
He said I was the worst he ever had. He's like, "It's not even that you're not trying. I can tell you're trying. That makes it even worse."
Oof.
Emily, something stand out for you that feels amazing?
Similar to what you guys do, but when I can change my tires successfully, when I can teach others how to change their tires successfully, when I can do something with my car that I don't have to go and pay a mechanic to do, I think I feel very accomplished when I do that.
You ever had a grocery store and the line is awful, and then all of a sudden one person comes to the, another cashier comes.
Oh, so you cut the line?
They point at you. They point at you. Yep,
yes.
And I'm like, yes, I won.
I wanted to see that. That's exactly what I think.
It's a good feeling.
When you go like this, I'm like,
it's a good feeling.
All right,
so cut in line. What is this accusing me of?
I'm just saying, some people sometimes, they won't be the next person in line, but when the next thing opens, they cut and get ahead of the people. So I think that's a little bit of cutting line.
There is a little bit of, there's no rules, but there should be rules. the person behind me should not be going in that line. I should be the next one. What else you got, Jorge?
All right, so, hey, did you see that Austin Reeves, who selected to Team USA,
Yep.
went with number 15 for his jersey? You don't really see this because, Jordan went 23, and then in Team USA, he was 9. I don't really see a lot of USA jerseys, but that's just me. I'm not a really basketball. You guys are basketball people. How many jerseys do you guys own in general?
So we've had this conversation before. I'm not a big jersey guy. I have a Kobe jersey. I have a Magic jersey.
I'm walking in. Jersey guy.
I have
some prosciutto.
I have a Kobe and a Magic. Those are the only 2 jerseys that I own, and basketball is really kind of the only jerseys that I see rocked, right? Like, you don't really see too many NFL jerseys.
Baseball
obviously.
jerseys.
Baseball jerseys,
But even baseball, you see, it's so much more common to see a basketball jersey than I
At
think
our
it is to
workplace,
see.
people wear baseball jerseys all the time.
Brian rocks jerseys.
Brian
Cohen
does. Funchess wears his sometimes.
But my thing with this Team USA ones, those are kind of rare. You don't really see somebody rocking a Team USA jersey unless you're at a basketball game, right?
Yeah. They're definitely more rare.
I mean, I don't wear the ones I have just because they were swag. Like, I got them for free.
Oh, there's those.
I look ridiculous if I ever do wear them. I just don't pull it off. But I have a Kobe and I have a Shaq.
You should wear the kind of the bigger jerseys. Like, you have your Bynum one, right? You've mentioned Bynum a couple times here. You have
love
the
Andrew
Bynum jersey. And then also the hats where they look like only 18 or 19-year-olds should be wearing them. You should start wearing those too, where the bill is up a little bit.
Bill is up a bit,
up a little
not
bit.
bent slightly.
You should start wearing those. Start tomorrow.
Keep the sticker on them.
Keep the sticker on. Oh, yeah.
Sticker on them.
Another look I can totally pull off.
DeAndre knows what that's about.
Look at him go, yeah.
I can't do it. But I do have a Kobe and I have a Shaq.
Yeah.
I have a Kershaw and I have a LeBron jersey, but they were both given to me from friends. So I haven't bought a jersey.
How about Steelers? How about anything there?
I used to have when I was a kid. I had a Roethlisberger rookie jersey when it was his rookie year when I was 10 years old or whatever, and then I had a Palmolive jersey.
Do you remember the first jersey you ever got?
Ben Roethlisberger.
I got a Jerry Rice 49ers 80. Oh, red, man.
Yeah, I think football
think
jerseys
my
are less worn
first
for me.
Probably was Shaq. Probably like 98 or something like that. Yeah.
I actually think the Kobe Shaq ones I have are the only ones I've ever owned.
Mm-hmm.
So, Kobe or Shaq.
All right, the last one. So, this is kind of personal. So, I was talking to Emily this week, and it's one of those where, like, I went to a Dodger game, and for those of you who don't know, Brenda's pregnant. And there was a guy in front of us. Thank you. There's a guy in front of us vaping.
Okay.
So, the smoke, the vape is coming behind us.
Yep.
I stood up, tapped him in the shoulder. I said, hey, look, my man, I understand you're enjoying your vape, the whole 9. But do you mind, going somewhere else? Or because, my wife is pregnant. And he got up. He was red. He got red. He was shy. Him and his girl got up and moved. Was that an a-hole? Should I had approached them, or did I do the right thing, or do I look like an a-hole?
I would have asked him if I can have some of the vape.
Some creme brulee.
My wife is pregnant. She's not feeling well right now. Could she have a hit?
Yeah, right. No, hey, she's stressed. I'm stressed. Could I have some of your vape? No, I think there's a lot of it is like how you approach.
First and foremost, you're not supposed to be smoking in the first place.
Yeah.
So
yeah. A lot of it is how
Is Dodger Stadium smoke-free, vape-free, all of that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Except joints. Joints are okay.
I mean,
it's legal.
Joints
fatties specific. They have to be considered fatties.
If it's a blunt, you're fine. If it's a joint, you might get
It's
a
like something out of
security guard that
Pineapple
comes by.
Express, those like 3-prong joints. Those are the only things you can smoke.
Bongs are allowed inside the Dodger Stadium.
There's a hookah lounge in
You bring your, Pringles can repurposed as a bong. Totally cool.
I think there's a lot of it is approach. The way you approached it is the right way to approach it. Where you tell somebody, you're asking them nicely. Obviously, in that circumstance as well, that's kind of a no-brainer, and it's the right thing for you to do for your wife. I think that's the right approach. Sometimes people are. I think with anything, if the approach is you're kind of too aggressive or something like that, but I think that's the right approach.
I mean, if you're not allowed to be doing it, then you're not allowed to be doing it. And then there's an actual reason that you're saying, can you please stop doing this on top of it?
But he didn't go tell a security guard. He's just kind of like, all right, I'm going to tell you straight
I wasn't sure in the beginning if you were allowed to vape or not. Like vape anything, like tobacco, weed, whatever. Like I didn't know if that was allowable. Once it's not allowable, you're not in the wrong saying don't do it, regardless of the reason. You just happen to have a really good one. But if like the smoke is bothering you and you're somewhere where it's supposed to be smoke-free, I think you're totally within your rights.
Here's a good question. So you vape in here, right?
Yeah, I'm vaping right now.
I've never said that it bothers me. But if I said, hey, can you put the vape away?
100% within your rights.
Okay.
I'm not going to, but it's your right to ask.
Well, people vape. The random places you see people vaping, where I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you should not be vaping in here. Not exactly the best look. Not exactly the best look. But I think that's the right approach.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it.
All right. I mentioned the Steve Cohen on hope for sustainability. I want to compare the Mets to the Angels. And the comparison is both franchises kind of had the similar odds of making the playoffs or not. But at the same time, there's a big difference. One franchise has Shohei Ohtani, the other one does not. I want to talk about that coming up next. Plus, I think we mentioned this. Dylan Hernandez is going to join us at 11:15, talk a little bit more Dodgers baseball. Stay right here, Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
You never have.
ESPN.
A good karma brands radio station.
It's Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa.
Day has the same person dropped off food at your house twice in one day? I don't know.
Great question.
Travis and Sliwa.
On 710 ESPN.
Bright light.
I sent it to you.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were the one who said.
Oh, your Google phone didn't.
Yeah, that's why you didn't. That's why you didn't know. You didn't. You weren't able to see the tweet that I sent you about this.
I'll get it
Sliwa.
tomorrow. Dodgers playing.
Text me in Mexico. That was a great thing you sent me, man. Awesome.
Dodgers playing the A's yesterday, and the organist last night plays the Viva Las Vegas. Obviously playing the A's. A's will eventually end up in Vegas. Does this fall on the lines where then I would go yell at the organist saying, what the hell do you think you're doing?
That was my immediate...
Are you having fun?
I sent this to you. I said, are you okay with this tomfoolery, Sliwa? Because this is the exact same thing that you say you hate.
What a classless organization.
Now the A's are going to come back and beat the Dodgers.
Dieter Rule the organist with the Dodgers writing checks that all of a sudden the Dodgers players on the field have to cash.
You know what it could be?
Dieter, it's not like Dieter has to do anything.
You know what it could be? Do you think it has more to do with this? Where you root for a franchise that has not had success, and you feel like anything that happens, especially when you're running your mouth against a franchise that has had an incredible amount of success, you have this insecurity where it's like, why did you just... No, compliment them. Just compliment the whole time. Compliment the competition because that competition owns you. I think it has to do with the insecurity of your team.
Like, so you're saying there's a difference between the A's and the Dodgers and the Padres? What? That's crazy.
No, the insecurity of the Padres. Padres having insecurity, at least fans do, to the Dodgers because the Dodgers have dominated. You're like, don't wake up asleep. Don't give them any extra motivation to whoop your ass because they whoop your ass pretty much all the time. It might be that insecurity.
So is Dieter a bully or not?
Is what?
Dieter, the organist?
The organist.
Is he a bully or not?
No, he's not.
So you're cool with what Dieter did?
Yeah, because he wasn't an intern, right?
Yeah, him I'm okay with.
Dieter is,
him I'm more okay with.
Well, because they're punching down, obviously. That's why you think it's
Yeah, Dieter's the same guy who's, all of a sudden put the Dodgers in a position where they have to cash in. They have to defend his actions. He's got nothing to do with it.
I think the Dodgers will be fine. I think they'll be okay when the dust
So
settles.
you're okay with bullies as long as they're the 800-pound gorilla?
I think I'm more just...
You're pro-bully.
No, I think with my...
You're kind of pro-bully.
With my team, it's just more an incredible insecurity.
Right, so... If it's a team that has no reason to be insecure, you're cool with it.
No, because I didn't like the Russell Westbrook with cold as ice that the Kings were doing on. So that's kind of the similar thing. Here's a dominating franchise that is getting the
right. So you don't like it. This is what we've seen: Padres, Kings. You don't like it when weak people punch up, but you love it when dominant people punch down. You are pro-bully.
Come on, man.
I've been
That's
labeled
why you love
as
Travis.
I've been labeled as a pro-bully. No, that's not good. That's not a good label to have.
I'm not labeling you. I'm taking the evidence.
I'm gonna have to change my approach on it. I did not like what the organist for the Dodgers did. All right, the Travis and Sliwa Show has teamed up with Waba Grill to give away lunch for your office. Listen tomorrow during the Waba Grill lunch hour on 710 for the cue to call, and you could be the Waba Grill Workplace of the Week. That's tomorrow on 710 ESPN. Thanks to Waba Grill. Waba Grill, eat smart, be healthy. Do you see some of these quotes from Steve Cohen? He was basically talking about trading Justin Verlander, trading Max Scherzer. The Mets coming into the year were... you look at their payroll, you look at how aggressive they were, you look at them making the postseason last year, some real competition in New York, competition in the sense that, hey, the Mets could be just as good as the Yankees. The Mets have just as good of a chance as making the playoffs and getting the World Series as the Yankees. Well, he goes out and he makes some pretty big trades here. Obviously, there's a little bit of a rebuilding factor. This is his reasoning. He says, when you look at the probabilities, what we were at, 15% to make the postseason, and other teams were getting better, so you have to take the odds down from that. So if you're going to have a 12% chance of getting into the playoffs, those are pretty crummy odds. I've said this before. Hope it's not a strategy. I want sustainability. The Angels were in a very similar spot. The Angels, percentage-wise, was around that, from what I saw, around that 15%, like something along those lines. I know kind of give or take, but you got two franchises that have pretty much the same odds to make the postseason. One decides, I'm going to become a buyer, and I'm going to do everything I can to possibly put my team in a position to compete. The other one says, I'm not 12 to 15% odds. What are we doing here? I got too many teams I got to pass. I'm going to go ahead and just punt on this season and build moving forward. You look at two strategies, completely different. I actually kind of like Steve Cohen, how honest he's been in these conversations. I don't think he comes off as arrogant. I don't think he comes off as annoying. I think he comes off as incredibly honest. It's interesting the two strategies both franchises take, and we know why the Angels took their strategy. And I don't know how much this would change for Steve Cohen if Shohei Ohtani was representing his franchise, what he would do in that situation.
Or, just flip it around. If Verlander is 40, I believe, and Max Scherzer's 39. If those guys were both 30, they're not being dealt. Like, no matter what, I'm not saying that Steve Cohen would have had the Mets be buyers, but he would not have been dealing those guys in their primes in a subpar year. I mean, Francisco Lindor didn't get dealt. Like, the Mets kept him, regardless of what
kept
they're
Pete Alonso.
Right. Like, they kept the guys who are still young enough to have a future with this team. But Scherzer and Verlander, because, like, let's say they've decided internally, the Mets, that it might require another year or so to get themselves really back on track. Verlander and Scherzer, they don't have the luxury of waiting, and frankly, the Mets don't have the luxury of counting on those guys staying dominant at their age. Like, they are both on borrowed time. So a lot of this is just the context of who got dealt. Like, again, Francisco Lindor stayed in New York. Why? He's 29.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to read off another quote here, which I think plays into what you said. You've got to remember Max and Justin, they're at different points in their career. Max asked me straight, are you going to be all in at free agency next year? And I couldn't give him that promise. I couldn't give him that assurance, and he wants to win now. If he felt like our odds were smaller and he originally thought, then he made his decision, and Justin did too, and I respect that. They're good guys, and they're at different points in their career. I love the honesty, too.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like he's not dodging anything. Do you remember this maybe about a month ago or so? He basically called his own press conference and stood in front of the New York media and just said, look, it's not over. We're still, it's not the position that we want to be in. We'll approach this however we approach it. You don't really see that too often as well from a lot of these owners to grab a microphone. It sounds like he's opening up whatever was happening behind the scenes. He was very open about it.
Well, baseball's a weird sport compared to some other ones in that they don't have the same rules with tampering when it comes to just talking about players that you were targeting or talking about, we were looking to bring in this specific guy. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't do that stuff in the NBA. Like, they get really sensitive about it. You can get fined. Baseball, they're really open about, we thought we had a deal with player X. You know, everyone's been on the record now about Eduardo Rodriguez not wanting to be a Dodger, but also, this deal was in place. Like, we targeted this guy. You can do that in baseball. It's actually one of the things that I think is interesting about baseball. You sometimes get a more unfiltered perspective about the goings-on behind the scenes that you don't get in other sports.
There is, this is what I'll go back to, and we're talking about the strategy, the Angels between the Mets, and the Angels kind of having similar percentages of making the playoffs. What the Angels did was exclusive because of Shohei. That's it.
Yeah.
So, and if you're Steve Cohen and you have Shohei Ohtani and you're approaching the trade deadline, if you didn't trade him a year earlier, and if you were within a few games of potentially making the playoffs, and this was your only pitch that you had
or
to
you're
try
also
to keep him.
I was going to say, you're trying to keep him beyond even make the playoffs. You're trying to keep this guy.
Yeah, but don't those go together?
They do go together, but I'm saying goal one. Let's just say you knew that just making those moves would be enough to convince Ohtani of your seriousness, regardless of whether you make the playoffs or not. Like, he just wants to be convinced this organization is serious. Mm-hmm. You'd make those moves just for that.
Yeah, and I think that's why if a lot of people that gave Artie Moreno, and I'm not here to try to defend Artie Moreno, I think it's clear that the Angels have not had a plan for a while.
He feels like a Google Pixel user.
Does he feel like one?
Yes, he does.
I think so. Interesting.
Yes, he does.
But it's not to defend him. It's more, I'm okay with one squad saying, I got a 15% chance of making the playoffs. I'm going to take my chances. And another squad saying, you got to abort mission.
Well, again, look at the people that got dealt. Like, if all of a sudden the Mets went into a complete fire sale mode and they were moving everybody, I think a lot of people are like, wait, hold on, what? Like, what are you doing?
But just think about when did these guys sign? 8 months ago?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's just, and
they joined
right,
what they thought was a contender. Like, I'm sure those guys didn't want to be around for this.
The stage of their career is the difference.
Yeah. I mean,
both of them on, shorter term deals.
They waived no trade clauses to get moved. They didn't want to be a part of anything that didn't feel like extreme win now mode.
Yeah. Yeah, and there's, I think, ultimately, a lot of franchises had decisions to make. Mets was one of the bigger teams coming into the year. Padres obviously made a decision to say, no, we're going to take our chances here. Angels did the same thing. So now that the kind of dust is settling on that. So you brought up something yesterday from Dylan Hernandez of the LA Times, and we spent a little time talking about what exactly is the strategy for the Dodgers and how much criticism can you put on Andrew Friedman in the front office of how the trade deadline worked. I'm going to read to you the title of Dylan Hernandez's piece in the LA Times, and Dylan's going to join us here in just a few minutes. It says, "The Dodgers' trade deadline whiff is no surprise. They aren't chasing a World Series." When we come back, let's spend a little time. I want Dylan Hernandez to kind of explain exactly from his perspective what he thinks the Dodgers. He's not talking about just the trade deadline. He's talking about walking into the season. He's talking about the potential of just saving dollars for potentially grabbing Shohei Ohtani. So we'll do all that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
Morning Spectacular live from LA Live. Travis and Sliwa on 710 ESPN.
All right, we got Factor Cap coming up in about 15 minutes or so. Want to welcome in Dylan Hernandez with the LA Times. Got to call him out right now. The Dodgers trade deadline whiff is no surprise. They aren't chasing a World Series. Dylan, first off, appreciate you joining the Travis and Sliwa Show. Hope you're having a good summer. Can you just Andy and I have both got a chance to read the article. Would love for you to kind of expand a little bit on your thoughts when you say the Dodgers aren't chasing a World Series. Can you explain a little bit of what your thought process is there?
That headline might have been a little bit aggressive, but, it's
too late now, Dylan.
Well, I didn't write the headline. I just said, obviously, and I think kind of the nut graph in that column is right. Obviously, no team that's spending $240 million on the payroll is punting on a season. That said, you never really got the feeling that these Dodgers were like really going for it this year. And this goes back to the winter. Prices in the free agent market just kind of skyrocketed and they sat out. I'm not sure if that was because of the Trevor Bauer situation, being unresolved and them not being sure on how much, they were going to be on the hook for that contract. Was it because, they've maybe just kind of decided, after all these years, we're going to kind of pull back on payroll and kind of go the homegrown route, which would be kind of an odd selection given that, they don't have kind of the Corey Seager caliber prospects coming up, right? I mean, if they do, they're still kind of at the lower rungs of the minor leagues. I don't think anyone was expecting Miguel Vargas to come in and light the world on fire. Or are they, maybe saving money really to make a run at Shohei Ohtani this winter? Whatever the case, you never really got the feeling, okay, they really went for it, And again, I think in some ways, a lot of the kind of marginal upgrades that they made over the winter really went their way, and my colleague Bill Plaschke wrote a column the day before kind of saying, in some ways it's kind of wastes some of Friedman's best work, in terms of, getting a guy like J.D. Martinez, finding, a contributor and somebody like Jason Hayward who was basically believed to be finished. And again, they kind of had some pieces where you kind of felt, okay, you know what, maybe they add a bat, maybe they add, again, a high-end pitcher and Arias and Kershaw come back, maybe they can make a run at this thing. And they really didn't, right? They kind of settled for what they're used to doing, which is, or not what they're used to doing, but, kind of those marginal upgrades, and I think that, what's a little bit kind of interesting here is, obviously the last 2 years, it's become the trade market has become more of a seller's market, I think, right? The prices have kind of gone up in part, I think, because of the expanded playoffs. More teams are still in it, right? So, also because I think, a lot of teams kind of wait a little bit longer now to see if they're going to be buyers or sellers. Really the market really wasn't defined even, I would say, completely until like the last few days going into this thing. So things are going to cost more now, and the way the Dodgers have kind of operated, and you could argue, obviously, that this is kind of their formula for long-term successes, they're determined to win every single deal. I mean, you can say that, obviously, when they traded for Darvish at the deadline, when they traded for Manny Machado, the deal for Scherzer and Trey Turner, all of those, they didn't have to give up all that much, and that's really, I think, kind of been the what's determined whether or not they make a move. Even the big contracts that they've given out, to Freddie Freeman, to Mookie Betts, Freeman, I would argue that was kind of right. The market kind of collapsed on him. He wanted to go back to Atlanta. Didn't work out there. Dodgers were able to swoop in, get him at a good price. Mookie Betts, when you include all the deferrals and stuff, again, I think that's a fairly team-friendly contract, as big as that contract is. And so, they always want to kind of do things they want to win every single deal. I think I'm not sure now that strategy is necessarily going to work because, again, the trade market is different. And, their strategy was always, hey, the free agent market becomes too expensive. We'll just wait until July to make a deal. They sat out the winter and they basically kind of sat out this trade deadline. And so, again, given that you have two guys in Freeman and Betts who are simultaneously having MVP caliber seasons, like in their 30s, right? These guys are not going to get any younger. Maybe they have another year or two like this together, but this is kind of a closing window, and so on one hand, I do think that a very strong argument could be made, and that's obviously my contention that, hey, you get an opportunity like this, you go for it, right? And sometimes you have to lose the deal to kind of win that championship. And, I mean, we saw with the Mets, the Cubs years ago, right, when they gave up Gleyber Torres to get Aroldis Chapman, who turned out to be kind of that last piece that they needed to win that World Series. They went ahead and they made that deal. And don't think for a minute that Theo Epstein didn't know that Gleyber Torres was a good player, right? I mean, this is a top prospect, who was obviously going to give you, if you have 6 years of control of this guy, it's going to help you out in the future. But, sometimes, again, you kind of have to push your chips all in. The Dodgers definitely didn't do that at this deadline.
Okay, there's a lot in there, Dylan, that I want to try to unpack. But one thing in particular, this concept of winning the trade, I think is really interesting. In your piece, this jumped out at me when you were talking about this, and you said it being a seller's market and not being an environment they like to operate, quote, Friedman's image-sensitive nature demands they win each and every trade. Do you get a sense of how they define winning it? Like, are you talking about, like, it works for them? Are you talking about the way the media reacts and, like, grades the trades, like an ESPN report card? Like, how are they judging winning it?
Yeah, I think that they probably have like valuations on different things. This is worth this much, this many years of control on this caliber of players worth this much. And I just kind of think that I think they really want to feel like that they got that better of that particular deal, regardless of kind of the bigger picture implications, right? I mean, again, I think, going back to that Gleyber Torres for Chapman deal, again, you could argue, right? I mean, the Cubs made a bad deal. Like, if you just looked at that trade alone, right? Was it really worth, 2 months of disclosure for 6 years of control of a top prospect? Again, I don't think the Dodgers make that deal, right? Even, if it could have pushed them, right? Because I think their argument would be, well, just because you get that big guy doesn't guarantee anything, right? And
but nothing. Nothing though, Dylan,
correct.
is truly guaranteed. Like, it
Yeah,
seems like
again,
they're defining winning. I don't mean to interrupt you, but it seems like they're defining winning the trade more by sort of the spreadsheet and the analytics than the actual impact on the field.
But isn't that already a criticism of the Dodgers? Watch them in the playoffs. Everything does seem like a spreadsheet. It doesn't seem like everything seems analytical rather than a little bit of a feel for it, or hey, I'm going to take a chance here.
The win, I would think, should at least be somewhat evaluated by, does this help make us a better team for the time we're trying to compete?
Yes, and I think it's kind of funny, right? It kind of sounds right now like I'm defending them, right?
No, you don't. You don't at all.
My contention, right, was that they should go for it. That you kind of need to go for things at some point, because trading for Verlander, Dylan Cease, that wouldn't have guaranteed them a World Series, sure. But you know what? Like, not trading for them, to me, almost guarantees that they're not going to get to that point. I just don't think they have the horses right now, and so they're kind of doing more like the lottery ticket thing, where it's like, hey, let's just get into the playoffs every year. There can be upsets in baseball. And basically, if we keep getting in every year, at some point, we're going to have to kind of break through. What we've seen so far, though, right, is that the only time they've broken through was kind of in that shortened season. And I don't want to diminish that championship in any way, but it was played under different circumstances. And I think that now, maybe they've been at this long enough. It just hasn't worked out really for them, I think, on a whole. It's given the fact that they've been like the favorites to win the World Series, like pretty much every, or at least like one of the favorites every year for the last like decade. The fact that they don't have a ton to show for it, I think, again, is a reflection of kind of that mentality, right? They don't really, they want to make sure that they're still okay tomorrow, right? That they never want to be in a position where they're kind of pushing all in. And I would argue, again, that sometimes you really have to do that if you really do want to win.
Dylan Hernandez taking some time to join us here on the Travis and Sliwa Show. Dylan, of course, from the LA Times. When you look at the standings and you see the Dodgers, they're on top of the NL West. Now, granted, Giants just 2.5 games back. There's 16 games over 500. We know the issues that they have with their arms. We know the players that they have. Julio's just going to have to be better. Gonsolin's just going to have to be more consistent. We'll see Kershaw when he comes back. How do you feel about just, I guess the best way that I can put it, their chances the rest of this season? How do you feel? I mean, you obviously feel a certain way about opportunities that maybe they didn't try to take advantage of or go all in a moment or take a risk and say, all right, maybe this long-term doesn't work out, but it gives us a better chance to win this year. Dylan, how do you feel about the rest of this season?
Oh, I think they're going to win the division. I think that's going to happen pretty handily. They just have depth that other teams don't have, and they're, even, right, Kike Hernandez might have been like the worst position player in baseball, whatever. They'll find a way to fix him probably. They generally, a lot of these things work out for them. And if he doesn't work out, then Rosario, I'm sure, will. Like, something's going to, they have the depth again to withstand the schedule, right? And, teams are going to see, right, the fatigue is going to really start to kind of set in. And I think that a lot of these teams are going to start dropping off. Then again, you're right. Again, we look at like the Dodgers kind of recent history here. Regular season hasn't been the problem. The problems always comes in the playoffs. And, again, they don't have kind of the horse at the top of the rotation right now. And I would have argued regardless, even with or without Verlander or Cease or, that horse, Urias would have had to have come back and become Urias of old again. Kershaw would have had to come back and stay healthy. Those were going to be prerequisites. I just kind of think that even if those guys do come back, again, they don't have a World Series rotation right now. And their lineup still is pretty top heavy, right? I mean, there's a pretty significant drop off after, say JD Martinez. I think there's some automatic outs at the bottom of the lineup. And again, we've seen kind of what happens when you have a lineup like that where, right, we saw last October where, it's pretty, you pitch the top few guys kind of carefully, make sure they don't get on, maybe Freddie Freeman gets to you, but, if nobody behind him drives them in, it's an offense that I think that can kind of be shut down. I wouldn't be surprised again, if they end up putting a bunch of zeros up offensively, come October. I just, firepower wise, can they compete with the Braves? It doesn't really look like it right now. And I think those types of games, you have to really kind of like rely on like your high end talent. And, they do have some high end talent, right? And Betts and Freeman, those are two of the, 10 best players in baseball right now. I just think that they could have probably done a little bit more to kind of help them out, especially on the pitching side.
Dylan, really appreciate your time. Again, the article right now in the LA Times, he's got a great column, always puts out some great stuff in the LA Times. Dylan, appreciate the insight, brother.
Thanks, Dylan.
No, thank you so much.
All right, that is Dylan Hernandez right there.
I can't believe Dylan thought it sounded like he was defending them. Like, I promise you, it doesn't. You don't sound at all like you're defending them.
Well, I think it's funny because we were also critical, and in a way he's complimenting the Dodgers for certain things that they have done, and at the same time saying, might want to change the strategy a little bit.
I mean, on one hand, there's only so much you can bash a team that's winning its division, and you could argue even overachieving.
Mm-hmm.
But the methodology that Dylan talked about, and I really liked how he broke down the idea of
have to win the trade.
Yeah, like and how you define winning the trade.
Yeah.
It seems like a lot of it has to do with either perception or just sort of like the wonky.
But his example of the Cubs
details
is a good example.
Yes.
His example of saying, look, we know long term this is not the right trade for our organization. However,
right.
We got a shot here to win this whole thing.
Well, here's the thing. Not all trades are executed for the exact same reason.
Mm-hmm.
If you are trying to win a deal, or if you're trying to do a trade for a short-term impact, then the value is judged, at least to me, the win is judged by what was that short-term impact.
Sure.
Like that's why you did it.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole sensibility of the long term, that to me should be measured by, is the guy we're bringing in on the short term, is he that good?
Mm-hmm.
If he's that good and can make that good of a short-term impact, that's where you judge it.
We got Factor Cap coming up next. We talked a little bit, AK, yesterday about D'Angelo Russell. At 11:45, you actually went out of your way to defend D'Lo. And I actually feel like there was a lot more people defending D'Angelo Russell more than I thought. Is D'Angelo Russell treated fairly by Los Angeles Lakers fans, media, and everything else? It felt like, at least in the postseason, it was very easy to point the finger at him specifically. 11:45, we'll talk a little bit about that. Factor Cap coming up next. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
So we got Scott Kaplan. And this afternoon show, Sedano and Cap. Scott Kaplan.
The confidence is up there. That goes without saying. I've always thought that, where you wear Nikes with a suit, it can be kind of a tacky look. But if you don't wear an undershirt, and you wear those glasses, then maybe it pulls it together. So I'm going to give that one, just for the fact that he knows what he's doing, I'm going to give him a 6.
Would you wear that yourself?
No, never, ever, ever be seen in that.
Honestly, suit's not bad. The no undershirt raises it up a little bit to where I'd probably say 8.5.
Would you wear that fit?
100%.
Shoes on point. I give that a 7 too.
Would you do the same thing? Show the little taco
I definitely show the chest. Gotta show the chest.
I ain't gonna lie, it's different. You got the Dior shoes on it, the nice hat. I like the glasses. No shirt with the chain. He get a 10. I give my man an 8. I give him an 8 out of 10. He nice little drip.
Do you think you can pull that off with no shirt?
Nah, I don't think I pull it out like he pull it out. Nah,
Travis and Sliwa, we're here each weekday, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., and it's time for Factor Cap.
Oh, that's cap. That's so cap, Dad. Everything I've said is a cap, but I'm going to go back. First of all, it's not a cap. It's
No, it
just
is a cap.
Welcome to Factor Cap.
Hey guys, how you feeling?
What's up?
I've only mentioned her how many times, Jorge?
6.
6 times.
6 times.
All right, I'm 7 away. And we have our snake draft coming up at noon. Our snake draft today is going to be, drumroll, female artists. Okay, so we're going to do female artist snake draft. So, we already know what, my likely number 1 overall pick is going to be, but...
Assuming she's available for
exactly.
you.
Yeah, assuming she's a So
You already
Jorge's
know
picking
my number
first.
1. You may or may not know.
I know.
Emily will know. Emily will know.
I already told Jorge what I think it is.
Yeah.
All right, so I don't know if you guys ever go on Facebook anymore, but I went on Facebook because I use Facebook Marketplace. But it was also giving me on this day and whatever, this is what you posted. So I was like, oh, I'm curious. So I look, this is from 13 years ago. I posted something that is embarrassing, and I regret that I posted this at any point in time. But it's just a status, and it was essentially talking about how excited I was to see my friend come over. And anyway, I'm not going to reveal exactly what it said, but it was embarrassing, and I sent it to my friends. And why did I ever post this in my entire life? So you've been embarrassed by old Facebook posts of yours. Alan, Fedra Cap.
Man, I'm trying to think here. I think I'd probably be more embarrassed if somebody's like tagging you on something that you didn't post. I don't post all that much to begin with.
Well,
so
this is like 13 years ago when you first started using Facebook.
Yeah.
Like when people were posting like, "Oh, excited to eat this cookie," like that's the stuff I'm talking about.
I think I'm more cap on this. I don't think I've ever put. It's not something that I'm even back when Facebook, even when everyone was using Facebook, even when Facebook was just coming out and we were all over Facebook. I don't think I was putting up anything that I regretted, so I go cap on this.
Yeah, it's cap for me, too, in the sense that there's nothing that embarrasses me, but sometimes those flashback posts, like you're talking about, Emily, they'll come up, and I'll look at them and be like, well, I can see why this got no traction. I should have probably, test run this one or focus grouped it, because I can see why it did not get a single comment or thumbs up or whatever. Kind of boring.
And don't worry, this had a lot of comments back at my post. I'll send it to you guys because I just don't want to say it.
How old were you when you
I
posted
was
this?
14, 13 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, 14. So Jorge.
Cap. I don't have Facebook. I don't have Instagram. The only
You
thing
never had it?
I've never had anything. I'm not a social media person like that. I don't like sharing what I'm doing. That's none of your business, basically. So I have Twitter. I just retweet, post, whatever, for sports stuff. No Facebook, no nothing.
You're not missing out on anything.
I am a
literally.
seriously infrequent Facebook poster at this point.
Oh, at this point, not a chance.
Facebook I don't use at all. Instagram, I don't even have it on my phone right now.
My-
I very rarely use Instagram.
I have an Instagram account. I never do anything with it. I believe my last post was something like 2013 or 2014.
I remember it.
It was,
You don't do
that
a
one got
photo?
traction.
Good post. Yeah, that one I liked.
A carousel, Anyway,
How often do you guys update your pictures though on your thing,
on your Twitter?
Twitter or wherever you can?
On our X?
Exactly.
I think I literally have updated it 1 or 2 times in the entire time that I've had it. So
they want same pictures,
Same
same
one?
background. Yeah. Don't even touch it.
All right, so this is based off what we did yesterday, but I'm going to play a piece of sound for you, and then my statement is, you know who this is. All right, so play it, Jorge, please.
Oh, my, look how things have changed. They know I'm the one. Daddy taught me how to flip my wrist. I'm my father's son. Think I'm pistol packing how that ratchet.
All right, so
I don't know who it is, but that's a pretty good beat. I
all
like
right,
that beat
so you know who this is. Andy?
Can I guess?
Yes. Actually, no, I'm going to say, yes, you can guess because Jorge knows who this is.
Lonzo Ball.
Okay. Alan, what is your guess?
Are we staying in the NBA category here?
Mm-hmm.
Play it one more time. Let me hear it again.
No.
I did not beep it, so that's why I'm not going to play it again. It's my fault that I
Okay, I'm just going to
overlooked that.
I'm going to pick another rapper that I know has rapped. I'll go with Marvin Bagley.
It is Steph Curry. He's accomplished his goal to be in a music video, and it's Steph Curry singing. And you can look at it on your own time.
That's Steph Curry?
Just retweet it.
I think we're okay. I think we get a certain amount of curse words a month that I think we could play. I think you're okay to play.
Well, Steph's adorable. Everyone loves him. Like, it's okay if Steph is cursing on our air.
Okay, sure.
But
yeah.
The FCC will never punish Steph.
Okay, that's what we're telling FCC. Yeah. You're going to get mad at Steph Curry? They're
Come on.
Subway, come on.
Yeah.
Babyface, come on. Everyone loves Steph.
All right, so it is Martha Stewart's birthday today. So you would love to get a glass of wine with Martha Stewart. She does have a wine that's 21 Crimes, because Snoop also has the wine. She has a wine, but it's a Chardonnay. So you would want to get a glass of wine with Martha Stewart. Jorge, Fat Cap.
Cap. No, not interested.
You don't want to know about her story? She's besties with Snoop.
Nah.
She's
that's
been to
cool.
prison.
Like they have commercials together with whatever they do. But nah, I'll pass on Martha Stewart and wine.
Al?
I think I'll go fact, and it's probably only to ask her about the stock trading and the conviction and the insider trading. I think that is an interesting world. Nothing else that I think she's done I have any connection. That's more like I have a curiosity. What was the slammer like?
Yeah.
And I mean, like, if Snoop,
I'm asking Martha Stewart what the
with her.
slammer was like. Yeah, I want to have a glass of wine with
That
her.
is the thing I would most want to talk about, too. Like, what was it like inside, both in terms of the setting, but also for somebody like you in particular? Like, the stories of hanging out with Snoop, I feel
How's
like...
the mac and cheese?
I feel like the stories with Snoop, like, in one way or another, we've heard them. You know what I mean? Like, I doubt she's going to tell me some story with
She's
Snoop.
got juice on a bunch of different people too. So I've heard her speak about stuff, and she keeps secrets, but there are some cool secrets about big people that you
Get
might
a
not
couple
know.
glasses of wine in her.
Can you ask her, how'd you go from home decor to like gangster? Can you ask her that?
I mean,
now all of a sudden you might be changing your
she didn't
answer. It
snitch.
sounds like you have some questions for her.
After 3 bottles of wine, hey, how'd you go gangster?
It says so, Jorge. Snoop? That's not dude, man.
Oh my god! All right,
My
so
guy. You shut up.
He's a homie.
as we talked about earlier in the show,
I ran that prison inside.
Hey, what's up, Paul?
So as we talked about earlier in the show, Eduardo Rodriguez was texted by several Dodgers who have been former teammates of his, and apparently crickets got back. Eduardo did not respond to anybody in regards to why he did or did not want to be part of the Dodgers. So you take offense when someone ghosts you. Andy, Fedor Cap.
Well, I mean, in this particular case, do we know if Eduardo Rodriguez is a Google Pixel guy? Because, I mean,
maybe
the text they may not have arrived at this point. Yeah, ghosting sucks. I don't like it in part because it can be rude, it can hurt feelings, but also it's cowardly. Like, it's really cowardly. Like, if you have that strong of feelings against somebody that you don't want to talk with them, just tell them you don't want to talk with them.
Especially when they have the red receipt on there.
Yeah.
I know you read it. I know you did. At least reply.
Yeah, ghosting's cowardly.
Al, what do you think?
I'll go cap on this. I'm going to give them a little bit. Look, this happens. You might get a text, and at the time, I'll use the show as an example. We're in the middle of a show, and somebody texts you, you have your phone off, or you have your phone on silent. What if you just genuinely forgot to text that
That's not
person
ghosting,
back?
though.
Ghosting, they know they got it.
Ghosting is an
They're
active.
purposely not.
Yes, ghosting is an active move.
That's different.
Like if it's me to you, I'm like, hey Al, you want to hang out this Tuesday? Nothing
I don't
back.
respond?
And then the next day, like we come to work tomorrow, and you don't say anything about it, but you clearly have read it. Like that's
No,
what
that's
ghosting
jacked
would
up.
be.
That's jacked up. The only thing is, if you're going to see the person, I mean, you should definitely text back. I think a lot of times when text backs don't happen, it's like, all right, I haven't talked to this person in a year, or I have no interest in talking to this person.
Jorge?
No, yeah, with Andy, this is like ghosting just sucks. Like, just at least respond. Take a second to.
Well, particularly with
thumbs up,
people that
something.
you have like an actual relationship of
with,
sorts with. Like, look,
Like Brian hasn't texted you in how long?
Yeah, but that's welcome. That's great. But look, there are people on, say, like Facebook we were talking about earlier, that I haven't spoken with in like 8 or 9 years, that I wasn't that close.
And then they reach out about an MLM.
Okay. Do I ghost them? Yeah, sure. But I don't feel like that's really a betrayal.
No, that's different.
Yeah, it's like, look, dude, we don't have a relationship.
That's not a close
I don't need to re-spark it. But somebody that I actually had a relationship with of any type, yeah, it's cowardly.
All right, so Rick Ross was at the Inter-Miami game last night and was interviewed by Apple TV Plus, and he was talking about how excited he was. He's a Miami resident. He's excited to see, and like there's an energy in the city. So this is what he had to say about the atmosphere.
The energy, I'm hearing all the artists in Miami. I'm just, man, it's a special event. It's a special moment. Everybody in Miami, I suggest you come out and catch one of these games, at least one.
It's that energy you want to be a part of. Rick.
This is a part of the movement now. Same way we go to the Heat games, the Dolphin games, we right here in Miami.
All right, so you think MLS will ever be on the same level as the other top sports, so i.e. hockey, baseball, football, basketball. So do you think that MLS will ever get to that level? Jorge, fact or cap?
Cap. You start to see a little more celebrities come out to the LAFC games, and I attend some of those games. And right now with Messi, the hype, I think it's just one of those like, he's gonna go once or twice, and that's it. They're gonna forget about it. It's not the same vibe as when you go and see A-list celebrities at the Lakers game. It's never going to get there. I don't think so.
Like you would see the game even without an A-list player coming to see it. You'd see a basketball game. Al?
I go cap on this too, but I will say that I just don't think the sport will compete with the other sports. Messi, I found myself yesterday when I'm looking at ESPN, it's like Messi with another 2 goals. I went and watched the highlights. I'm like, are you kidding me? This dude again? And listen, if you told me I could go, we had this conversation maybe 2 weeks ago. You could go see any athlete right now. Messi's on a lot of people's list, and he's here. He's in the MLS.
Yep.
I just don't have faith that there's enough people that like soccer in the United States of America that's all of a sudden going to help lift MLS to a different level.
I think that's what it is. It's more about nationally. Like locally, if a Messi type guy shows up in your city, he might create a sensation in that city, but it doesn't feel. I could be wrong. It doesn't feel to me like the entire country is caught up in Messi being in Miami. It feels like Miami is caught up in Messi being in Miami.
And soccer fans, like I'm as casual as it comes when it comes to soccer. Messi's in the States. Messi's about to come, in what
September.
is it, a month?
Yeah.
He's coming to LA. That everywhere he goes,
it's a hot ticket.
That's unbelievable. I mean, if I told you right now, hey, I got 1 ticket to go see Mahomes, 1 ticket to go see LeBron, 1 ticket to go see Messi, who are you picking?
Oh man, that's a tough
Me?
ticket.
It's not even tough for me. I'm picking Messi, and it's not even. I have zero hesitation. I'm picking Messi, and that's my
LeBron.
least favorite sport.
Yeah.
Well, but here's the thing, though, that I think kind of underscores my point. Messi is like a global icon.
Yeah.
It takes a global icon to create this type of buzz, if it really does exist in the States.
Sure.
How many of those dudes exist?
let's put it this way. If you took the 10th best player in the world of soccer and he was on Inter Miami, nothing probably would change.
Nobody cares.
It took Messi.
Right, or like Beckham a decade ago
Yeah.
when he joined, what was it, the Galaxy?
Yep.
Like, that was a huge deal. But Beckham was like not just a soccer icon, he was a celebrity.
Yeah.
And it took someone like him.
Sure.
Like,
Sure. They're having their moment, and it's again, it's
But
Messi,
I don't think it's
and
sustainable.
And it's Messi coming off of winning the World Cup.
Right.
So a lot of that has to do with it as well. Are we being too harsh on D'Angelo Russell? We'll spend a little bit of time on that. We got our draft coming up. Best female artists at noon. We'll do all that in the next 15 minutes or so. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
So Al and I are teaming up for your chance to win an entire office full of lunch from Waba Grill. So you're going to want to be listening all day during the 12 o'clock lunch hour for your cue to call to pick up food for the entire office, courtesy of Waba Grill.
We got some ribeye, we got some chicken, we got some shrimp. I'm making it sound like I cooked them myself. Look at these boom boom tacos.
You can visit wabagrill.com. You can order online. Just go on in, get yourself some of these tacos. Visit your local Waba Grill location. Of course, walk right in. Of course, you can order online for delivery or pickup. Waba Grill, right? Eat smart, be healthy. Boom boom, kaboom.
And ESPN.
All right, ESPN LA and Hollywood Park Casino are giving 12 fantasy football commissioners the chance to win a fantasy football season experience, including the ultimate fantasy draft party for their ESPN fantasy football leagues and weekly prizes throughout the season. Register now at ESPNLA.com. Scroll for the Hollywood Park Casino logo, and we'll see you on Friday, August 18th at HPC Hollywood Park Casino. Eat, drink, and draft. Speaking of draft, we have our snake draft coming up at noon. This is, we know Taylor Swift's going to start her show I don't know if Emily knows, but she's going to play 6 shows here in Los Angeles. So just kind of some information there. So we're going to draft our best female artists. Do we know the order yet?
Yes. So order is Jorge.
Oh, done.
Jorge gets number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I've been trying to convince him about why choosing that person as number 1 is a bad idea.
Okay.
Just trying to sell a little bit. And then it's going to be me as second pick, and then you, then Andy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Take 3. I think I'm going to get my... I feel pretty good about my list. I like my list. And I don't know if anybody's going to take mine.
Got another fact about Taylor here?
Yes. So this song is I
miss Taylor, by the way.
Right.
Have we heard from Taylor lately?
Smith?
Have you texted him?
Yeah.
I texted him, but it was maybe about 2 weeks ago.
He ghosted you?
He responded. I got my.
Oh,
I got
by
my
the
Taylor
way,
mix.
one of the songs that I played yesterday, Wildest Dreams, Taylor Smith would sing it when he performs. So when I went to see him, he's like, this is my favorite Taylor Swift song, and he sings it acoustically himself. He changes like him to her, but
awesome.
it's great. He does a really good
I wish I
performance
could have
of it.
seen Taylor perform. I never did.
He's great.
He's awesome.
I heard he was really,
His
really
last
good.
show that he did that we were at.
I went to the last 2, yeah.
It was so much different than the other show that we went to because it was like he was the center of the stage and everything was kind of he was singing the entire time. He's great. He really, really is incredible.
Yeah,
talented.
I really wanted to try
and
to see
he's
him.
so low profile about all that, but he's got incredible talent. Have you heard from him in a while, Emily? You
I saw him post on Instagram and stuff, but
Okay.
but I haven't texted
have to
him.
reach out.
He texted me last week. He's like, "Hey, how you doing, Swifty?" I was like, "Hey, you text the wrong person." He just had a laugh.
Awkward.
About it. Yeah.
Okay, so yesterday we played some sound on D'Angelo Russell, and D'Lo was on Pat Beverly's podcast on Barstool Sports. And it's funny, I did this after the show as well. You do a lot of different stuff on YouTube. I do some stuff on YouTube as well. And I'm reading the comments there, and maybe I haven't given D'Angelo Russell fair credit, and I know that. Like, I know that I'm overly critical on D'Angelo Russell. I can't tell you exactly why, but I almost feel like I don't give him – when I should be giving him more credit, maybe I don't do it. When I find times to jump all over him, maybe I'm more apt to do that. Something surprised me with the comments that I was reading from a lot of Laker fans. I felt like a lot of Laker fans were trying to defend D'Angelo Russell. And I felt like a lot of Laker fans, and you did this a little bit as well yesterday too, and I was interested. I'm like, well, tell me more. Give me some of the defense for it. And you went into no, he was better in the first 2 rounds than you're giving him credit for. Yes, he was bad against the Denver Nuggets, but it's not a lot of points Laker fans were making was trade deadline came. He had an impact in the regular season. He had a role with the Lakers. He was a part of the turnaround of what the team did. And if my expectations were too high, then you know what? Adjust your expectations. He's not LeBron. He's not Anthony Davis. He's a group of role players that all had their moments in the offseason. And the reason why maybe it's a little surprising for me, but I felt like there were more people trying to say Laker fans are too harsh on D'Angelo Russell. Would you agree with their sentiment?
D'Lo's always been a really polarizing player. From like the moment he entered the league, his rookie season with the Lakers, there was the Nick Young, Iggy Azalea thing. He's moved around a lot. He's always been one of those guys that is good enough that you can recognize he's talented, but doesn't seem good enough that any team feels
has him in their long-term
right,
plans.
Exactly.
Minnesota the longest.
And there was also his contract, which was – I don't think D'Angelo Russell is a $30 million a year player.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the reason he got that contract in the first place is because Kevin Durant was leaving Golden State and forcing his way to Brooklyn specifically. Golden State wanted to maintain that salary slot, which eventually – right.
Sign and trade, and it ended up with Andrew Wiggins because of that.
They eventually flipped D'Lo to Minnesota for Andrew Wiggins, but the only way they could do that would be to give D'Angelo Russell that type of salary because it had to match Kevin Durant to a certain degree.
Percentage-wise, so you can make the move.
Right, exactly. So in certain respects, D'Angelo Russell was in the right place at the right time. Like years ago when the new ownership took over the Dodgers, and I think they were really trying to prove, these are not Frank McCourt's Dodgers, and we are going to spend. Andre Ethier ended up getting really big deal.
Yep.
And Ethier was a good player. Like, I think there was a period where Ethier was actually underrated. But this was a contract that was bigger.
Let's just say the timing was really good.
Yeah, the timing was really good for Ethier. The timing was really good for Russell. But by the time Russell ended up a Laker last season after the deadline, to me, his contract was irrelevant. Like, I wasn't judging him as a $30 million deal because, A, the Lakers didn't give him that deal, and B, I knew there was no way in hell in free agency the Lakers would be re-signing into that type of deal, or anybody would be. To me, he was playing at about the level of his new contract now. Was he bad against Denver? Yes. And it created a problem. But the truth is, it overshadowed how a lot of guys weren't great against Denver. A lot of guys couldn't make jump shots. Dennis Schroeder couldn't make a jump shot. Lonnie Walker couldn't make a jump shot. To be honest, LeBron couldn't really make a jumper. Anthony Davis, a lot of guys had difficulty making jumpers. D'Lo just, I think, was the most disastrous on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
And his problems became loudest, but I think that's in part because D'Lo's the most polarizing.
Well, let's put it this way, too. The Lakers did not lose. D'Lo obviously helped nothing in the Nuggets series. But if he had a good series, are they beating the Denver Nuggets?
Not likely.
I don't think they are.
No.
The reason why I'm putting it that way is, as somebody who's very critical on D'Angelo Russell, I'm also aware that if D'Lo had a good series, you're still losing to the Denver Nuggets. I believe you are.
It just feels
those
better.
Maybe those games were close enough where somebody can make an argument. Well, who knows? What if it's 1-1 going back to L.A.? Does that change everything? But if you kept playing the Nuggets, I feel like the Nuggets would have kept winning.
Denver had a much larger margin for error, and that became really obvious over the course of the series. I think they were better than the Lakers. If D'Lo had played as well as he did in the first two rounds, does that make the Lakers more competitive?
Yeah.
Of course. And it makes it more difficult for Jamal Murray if he has to account for D'Angelo Russell on both sides of the ball. Like, there's a trickle-down effect to all of this, but I think Denver was just better. But D'Angelo Russell, again, has always been a guy that is polarizing. I think he has a habit of saying things where he's not reading the room well.
Yeah, you've said that. He's that's a good way to describe it, right? Like he's
his exit
the awareness sometimes is not always there.
His exit interview was tone deaf.
We spend a little more time on D'Lo at around 12:15 or so. He talked about, I thought this was interesting, and think about him. He got a chance to play with Kobe. He got a chance to play with LeBron. And he talks about the leadership styles, how different it is. We'll do that coming up at 12:15. But coming up next, Snake Draft, female artists. That's next on the Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
When pain keeps you from
ESPN.
A good karma brands radio station. It's Travis Rogers, Alan Sliwa. Travis and Sliwa.
But do you think it's the right move? Do you think it's the right strategy?
No. Live from LA Live on 710 ESPN.
All right, so it's time for our snake draft of female artists, okay? It's in honor of Taylor Swift starting her Eras Tour dates here in LA.
I'm nervous. I'm nervous that my picks don't get picked.
6 dates, 7 days.
Yep.
Taylor Swift.
Roseanne doing the national anthem. Alan, I think you're safe for your first-round pick.
If she goes.
Ooh.
She's a second rounder right now in our mock draft. We should go mock draft.
All right, Jorge, you're up first. You have the very first pick in the draft. Don't do it.
Okay, so I didn't get a good enough pitch. Nothing was offered that I really liked.
Best female
So
artist
with the first
with the
pick
number one pick in
of
the
the
draft. Jorge Briones
selects Taylor Swift.
Taylor Swift.
Love it. Love it.
Well, at least she went 1-1, okay, guys? She went 1 overall.
I love this antagonistic new relationship between the producer and the board op. I love it.
Anybody but Jorge, okay?
Ooh, backhanded my own line.
Joking around, right?
I love it.
It's fine. It's
Okay,
can
I? Because you know how the pick comes and then there's 5 minutes before the next pick. Now our analysis was not expecting him to go Taylor. I really thought he was going to say, let me leave this on the board for Emily.
For those who aren't watching on YouTube, Emily looks totally fine with this.
She threw her headphones.
She doesn't seem upset in the slightest.
She missed me by this much.
She's vaping.
Well, Jorge, I'm glad you have taste.
Taylor
you
Swift
had a
is
great
gone.
choice in your first overall pick. I hope, because I know that people on Twitter are so rational about their opinions about Taylor Swift and us talking about Taylor Swift.
You're handling this well, Emily.
You know, it's such a great choice by you.
Doing great.
All right, well, then I'm going to go with my first pick is going to be someone who is one of the best vocalists we've ever heard.
Okay.
She revolutionized how we sing the national anthem.
Yep.
She has songs that have had such staying power over decades.
For those who are just tuning in, Taylor Swift off the board. She's gone.
She has redefined like what it is to be both a vocalist and a performer. Whitney Houston is my first pick.
All right, Whitney Houston off the
Alan.
board.
Decent voice.
Okay. She might be just one of my favorite artists, period. Love her music for as long. She's probably easily been in the game for, let's say, 15 years or so. Alicia Keys, my number one pick.
That was a surprise for me.
Alicia Keys, number one. And there's also, I have a little strategy here of why Alicia, number one. Alicia Keys off the board.
All right,
She's strong.
Andy.
With my first pick, and I've got 2 coming up on this end of the snake draft.
Yeah. Actually, you only have 1. The way we do it, once a month.
The Queen, some would say the GOAT, the revolutionary, one Aretha Franklin.
Good pick.
You cannot.
Good.
Can't beat that.
You cannot beat Aretha Franklin, the original diva, the original queen of soul, pipes for days, and one you would not want to mess with. My next pick, incredible performer, incredible icon. I'm not necessarily even a massive fan of her. She has a handful of songs I like, but I don't think you can just overlook what she has meant to the culture and for female artists for going on about 40 years now.
Yep.
Madonna.
Yes, great pick. She has so many different a la Taylor Swift, or not a la Taylor Swift, but she talks about it. But she has so many eras. She has so many ways in which she's reinvented herself, and Taylor uses her as an example of how women, and especially women in the music industry, have to constantly reinvent themselves to stay at the top of their game. And she does it all the time.
Incredible at doing that. And
I can say I got an oil change, and she'd find a way to tie in Taylor Swift. She'd say,
she
well,
will.
yeah, Taylor Swift once had an oil change.
We are talking about the female artists.
No. I'm just kidding with you. Okay, so my number 2 pick is going to take me back into the hip-hop world, and it's by far one of the best performers, by far one of the best, one of my favorite albums of all time.
Iggy Azalea.
And still to this to this day, if you still hear, unfortunately she doesn't put out as much music as she used to, Lauryn Hill.
Oh,
great!
My number 2 pick in the draft, Lauryn Hill, as good as it gets. I got some. At least DeAndre and Cody approve of the pick. Lauryn Hill, number 2.
Okay, so I'm interested to see where I want to go here, because I have a couple of different options. I have people from my generation that I've grown up listening to for my whole life. I have my parents' generation. I have people that I've come to later in life. So, I think that I'm going to go with someone else who's on tour this summer. Someone else who has done so much for culture, has gone through many eras herself in terms of reinventing her music, reinventing her sound, from being in a group to being a solo artist on her own. She's changed the hip-hop world. Beyonce.
Oh, man, you took my pick.
Oh, yeah. Now how does it feel to have your pick taken?
Beyonce
right,
off the board.
Oh,
Beyonce
man.
off the board. Beyonce actually fallen that far. Maybe a little bit surprising right there, but Beyonce's gone. What do you got over there?
Carly Rae Jepsen's still available.
I mean, she is one of the best pop stars of a generation.
My next pick.
Pink is still on the board, too.
Pink is great.
She is actually good.
Pink is on my list.
With my next pick, I got to get the Latino vote here.
Okay.
Oh.
She transcends generations. None other than Selena.
Yeah.
There you go. It's a great
Selena
pick.
Quintanilla. That's what I'm going with.
Okay, that's your number 2 pick.
My
Now
number 2
your
pick.
number 3.
My number 3. I'm going to go for another steal here. Erykah Badu.
Ooh.
Very nice pick.
Sneaky.
Yes, steal it from you, man.
Very, very
There you
good
go.
pick.
Let's
Erykah
go.
Badu,
Yeah.
that's a great, great pick.
Let's go with that.
Okay. My final pick in the draft. Do I go with an amazing lyricist? Do I go with...
By the way, this idea of
yeah?
best female artists,
Yeah.
this is great.
There are so many left on the board that we are not going to get to, so...
But this is a really, really good topic.
So, I think that I'm going to go with someone who's an amazing performer. Not just like in the way that she sings, she's one of the most talented singers that we have, but the way in which she acts through everything. Her stages are amazing. Her outfit choices are often amazing, and she means so much to so many different people in the LGBTQ community and everyone out there. So Lady Gaga is my 3rd pick in the draft. I've been a fan of her since Poker Face in 2008. So Lady Gaga is my last pick.
I'm very proud of Jorge taking Erykah Badu. That's a great, great pick. Okay, this one I guess was a little bit more strategic. It's the first concert I ever went to in my life.
Oh, yeah. Let's go, girls.
All right. I was like 11, 12 years old. I got 2 older sisters. My mom's like, you're going to this concert with your sisters. I'm like, this is so stupid. Why would I go to this concert? About 3 songs in, they're like, do you want to sit down, Al? Or, relax. Shania Twain will grab my number 3 slot. I get a little country in there as well. Shania Twain, my number 3.
Also great. Boy, I gotta say, as the last pick, I got a lot of great choices in front of me. I mean, I could go, we had mentioned Pink before as just the performers. You could go with Joni Mitchell as a songbird. You've got some of the icons, Tina Turner, Donna Summer. Give a shout out to my daughter's favorite, Mitski, Japanese singer.
She's amazing.
She's awesome.
Also,
Mitski,
is your daughter sad? Her music is so sad. Sorry.
her musical taste is actually pretty awesome. It's all
That's
over
awesome.
the place. It's fantastic. There's a lot of choices out there, but I am going to just try to put a hammerlock on this thing.
Wow.
So I'm going to go a little bit populist. Janet Jackson.
Done.
Okay.
Done. Done.
So we still have Dolly Parton on the list. We still have Adele, Celine Dion.
Yep.
We still have Kelly Clarkson,
Queen Latifah.
Stevie Nicks,
Adele, Stevie Nicks.
Britney Spears,
Carole King. Nina Simone.
Katy Perry,
Mary J. Blige, another great artist. So
Tammy Terrell, Tina Turner, Donna Summer.
Come on, guys.
We had a lot of good artists there. This might have been my favorite one.
This was good. This was really good.
Of all the drafts out
and we're
there.
gonna make a lot of people mad with the people that we've left off for sure. So
But,
if we miss
listen,
somebody,
yeah.
call in 877-710-3776. Tweet at us. Tell us who we missed.
Come
Make your
at me.
case for them.
Hit us up on Twitter. But that's a pretty strong list. And when it comes out, because Social will put it out, you can vote for who you thought was was your favorite trio there. But write also in the comments who we did miss, because like you said, there's so many artists that we did not pick.
We didn't even miss. We just didn't have enough time.
No, we don't.
We didn't have enough room.
Yeah. Biggest surprise that didn't make the list? Biggest, like, is there one that it's just
Adele.
should be on the list? Adele?
I'd say
Maybe
Adele or Tina Turner.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Dolly Parton.
Is Celine Dion not as high on the list? I thought Celine Dion was just.
She's been in Vegas for a long time.
Forever.
She's felt very much in residency. Yes.
Yeah. I think we got some good.
I think
ones
either Adele or Tina Turner.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I mentioned this, and we started talking a little bit about D'Angelo Russell. And we'll take some of your calls when we come back, too, if you got an idea on the best female artist that we missed. D'Lo spent some time talking about the different styles. I mean, what a freaking unique opportunity. You have a player in the league, in D'Angelo Russell, as a rookie, played with Kobe Bryant, and then eventually gets traded to the Lakers again, and here he is in the Western Conference Finals playing with LeBron James, and is around for just two of the greats that have ever done it, and both with the Los Angeles Lakers. He started talking about the leadership style, the difference between the two. And I think it just proves and shows that ultimately at the end of the day, how you win, the path to get there is not all created equal. The path doesn't have to be the same. We'll spend some time on that coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN. We're fired up for the MLB season. Luckily for you, our friends over at Vivid Seats, the official ticketing partner of ESPN, have great deals on great seats with a huge selection of tickets to this year's hottest matchups. Experience every crack of the bat, every diving catch, and every heart-pounding play of your favorite team, live and in person. Just visit vividseats.com or download the app today. Vivid Seats, experience it live. Andy. You know what time it is. We're contractually obligated. It's the Waba Grill lunch hour on 710 ESPN. Thanks to our friends over at Waba Grill. You've got to try the Waba Grill's new Asian-inspired Boom Boom Taco Trios. With your choice of chicken, ribeye steak, or shrimp, visit your local Waba Grill location or order online for pickup or delivery at wabagrill.com. Waba Grill, eat smart, be healthy. For the next 15 minutes, Andy will be spinning the Waba Grill Boom Boom Tacos. It's not, listen, he knows that when he signed up this week, he's contractually obligated, even though he didn't read the terms and conditions.
Didn't know a thing.
If you're watching on YouTube, you probably don't see Andy. You just see the taco going upside down and then right side up. So thank you, Andy, so much.
He's gotten way better at it
a lot better.
The week.
Oh, man, by Friday, I'm going to be spinning the thing around on one finger.
This guy's just like this. Much better since Monday, man.
Put it back in the right spot, please.
Yeah.
Gracias.
No, that's good. It's leaning. Okay, there it is. We got a lot of people that are calling in right now that want to give their opinion on best female artists that we left off. So there's a lot of. We only got to choose 12 artists. So naturally, if we're picking 12 artists, there's 25 that we're going to leave off. So let me get a couple people in here real quick. Rick in Simi Valley. Rick, who did we leave off, or who would you have on your list that wasn't on ours?
Oh, thank you, guys. Absolutely. My absolute favorite female artist is Sade. Just for all the reasons that you might think. Beautiful voice, maybe the most attractive performer, and just absolutely love her music and her performance.
Rick, during the break, AK and I were literally, that's the artist that I mentioned to AK. I'm like, okay, she didn't get on. She probably deserves to be on. You're right, one of the best artists. I appreciate you calling in. Let's take another one here. Jack in Santa Barbara. Jack, what's going on? Thank you for calling in, brother.
Jack.
Hello, I've called before. I love your show. I was Travis's old counselor at UCSB.
Oh, yeah. That's right. That's right. And Travis needs a lot of counseling, so if you could. No,
believe me, he did.
All right, what are the artists that we left out? Who do you have in mind?
Okay, so I'm really old school, so I went with some old school people. Stevie Nicks, I loved her with Fleetwood Mac. Also, I really enjoyed the performances of Tina Turner, just like AK mentioned.
She was difficult to leave off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was amazing. And then really old school because she was iconic in her time, Cher.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong.
She performed every role of West Side Story herself. You know, what more can you ask of a female artist?
So, thank you all.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you calling in. Let me squeeze in one more quick call.
Before that one,
go ahead.
Pepe Mantilla, the great Pepe Mantilla, weighing in on this. Amy Winehouse, we forgot Pink. He says Shakira.
Unfortunately, with Amy Winehouse, she didn't have a long enough career.
And Dua Lipa, according to Pepe.
I will say,
great.
Amy Winehouse, you're right.
She was fantastic.
She was amazing.
She was so good. She just unfortunately her career was cut really, really short.
All right, let me take one more quick call here, and then we can get into some of this D-Lo stuff that I was talking about. Mark in Chino Hills. What's going on, Mark?
Oh, yeah. The guy who just called ahead stole my thunder with Stevie Nicks, but I'm also old school. Ann Wilson from Heart, an incredible voice and performer, and also my personal favorite of all time, Olivia Newton-John.
Oh.
Good picks.
Talk about someone everyone loved. Like, everyone loved Olivia Newton-John.
Mark, thank you, brother. I think if we had 15 people drafting, we'd still have amazing female
You can even separate it by
artists
decade. We can do like the 80s, the 90s, the 2000s, the 2010s, and have totally different drafts.
Well, I appreciate you guys being a part of that. You could hit us up on Twitter if you have any more thoughts on what artists that we left out.
Celia Cruz, according to Beto.
Who's that? Say it again.
Celia Cruz. Yeah, it's another good one.
There is.
It's hard with a 3-round draft. Like, to be fair to everybody involved.
Okay, you took Taylor Swift because you took it for.
I didn't get a good offer. Hey.
Okay, but
no, but I took it because it's popularity.
What would have been your number one pick? Like, is she your number one pick? Your own personal preference. What's your favorite female artist?
Taylor Swift. Let's go to D'Angelo Russell.
Or he's here to win, guys.
Well, so was AK. AK was. You said your picks, a lot of it too. I mean, they're all great artists, but part of it was picked on popularity.
Look, I wouldn't say popularity as much as like
Legends.
impact, legends,
Yeah.
stuff like that. You know, I mean, I will admit, because I started liking how my draft was shaken out and looking at other people's, I'm like, I feel like I can quote unquote win this thing.
Yeah.
That being said, my first round pick of Aretha Franklin, I think that's the answer.
Mm-hmm.
Like I when you take into account talent, voice, staying power, impact, icon factor, like to me, she is the choice.
We hit on this a little bit earlier on D-Lo on the Pat Bev podcast we mentioned on Barstool Sports. I want to play one clip here. D'Angelo Russell talking about this upcoming season with the Lakers and just his thoughts on how he feels the Lakers are positioned for the upcoming year.
We got a lot of bodies night to win. I think that's got to be our focus. And whatever or however it gets done, if everybody's locked into just giving the team what it needs that night might be scoring. The next night might be 8 assists. The next night might be all passes because they ran you off and you made the one more to Austin Reeves in the corner and he's hitting it. Like it's gotta be right play, right mentality type of energy for our group. Because anybody can do it. He could throw any 5 out there and get it done. But if we're all committed to that, I think sky's the limit for the group, honestly.
I got to imagine, AK, you and I have chatted a little bit about what we thought of the Lakers offseason. There was a lot of positivity towards looking at all the different teams over free agency and saying, hey, you know what, I all the Laker moves, they feel like they make sense.
Lakers had a good offseason.
The contracts that they signed for certain players, I thought Reeves was going to get a lot more. 4 years, 56 seems like a great deal. D'Lo, D'Lo to me, the 2 years, $36 million seems like there's great value in that deal. So, and then if you want to look a little deeper, the Gabe Vincent, all that stuff, everything that they did, I think a lot of people feel that way. D'Lo's role and what it's going to look like this upcoming year, I'm sure he's going to be competing like he was last year with Dennis Schroeder. Gabe Vincent's going to make a case that, hey, I should be in at the end of games. We'll let it all play out. But I thought something D'Lo said right there that the franchise, I feel like, is built around players that kind of understand their role on a team that has LeBron and Anthony Davis. I feel like it's a franchise, the role players understand that we're the side of the meal. We're not the main. And the more I think players recognize that, the more players like D'Angelo Russell recognizes sometimes it is my game. I should be in at the end. Sometimes it's not. Obviously, only benefits, but D'Lo obviously feeling good about the moves.
Yeah, I mean, he seems to feel good about his role. Seems to feel good about his place with the organization. He spent a lot of time in that interview with Patrick Beverley talking about Austin Reeves. He kept calling him a killer. Just over and over, just really praising.
About that story you told about guarding him?
That was
tell the story, because
he told this story about the first time he was up against Austin Reeves, and he really didn't know who he was. And his brother, I didn't know this.
His brother's sitting courtside or something.
Yeah, and his brother's his agent, and his brother also helps him prep for a lot of stuff. And he's matched up against Reeves, guarding him. Reeves pulls some move, and by D'Lo's own admission, absolutely puts him in a blender.
And he thinks he got fouled or whatever he did. Yeah.
And D'Lo is coming back up the other end of the court, and his brother's looking at him like, "I told you, dude. I told you about this guy." He'd been really consistent about the idea of give us a whole training camp, give us the chance to build actual chemistry. We can do some damage. Like D'Lo has been really consistent with that.
Leadership style, how you win. Doesn't matter if you're the head of a sports organization. It doesn't matter if you're an athlete. It doesn't matter you're a CEO of whatever company it is. I think it's safe to say, AK, there are different styles to success. And certain styles might be really, really tough and somebody in your face all the time. Somebody's style may be, let me make the room as loose as possible so nobody really feels the pressure. Other people, maybe it's the pressure that helps them get there. For others, the looser it is. D'Angelo Russell is in an interesting position in his career. He's got a chance to watch Kobe, and he's got a chance to play with LeBron. You said you have a list of players that have played with both of them.
I think I have the complete list. I'm not 100% sure, but I think I do.
D'Lo breaks down what the difference was between playing with Kobe and playing with LeBron James and some of their leadership style. We'll do that coming up next. We'll get your list as well. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
So Al and I are teaming up for your chance to win an entire office full of lunch from Waba Grill. So you're going to want to be listening all day during the 12 o'clock lunch hour for your cue to call to pick up food for the entire office, courtesy of Waba Grill.
We got some ribeye, we got some chicken, we got some shrimp. I'm making it sound like I cook them myself. Look at these boom boom tacos.
You can visit wabagrill.com. You can order online. Just go on in, get yourself some of these tacos. Visit your local Waba Grill location. Of course, walk right in. Of course, you can order online for delivery or pickup. Waba Grill, right? Eat smart, be healthy. Boom boom, kaboom.
Alan Sliwa.
Day has the same person dropped off food at your house twice in one day? I don't
Great
know.
question.
Travis and Sliwa.
On 710 ESPN.
A lot of Mariah Carey's in the chats.
And she was really, really talented. I get it.
She's also one of the top earning female artists of all time, one of the top streamed artists of all time. So she's definitely up there. But, you know, we all had our own choices. We all have our own personal preferences. And it just was not in my top 3.
I remember this from Rush Hour. Remember? Rush Hour?
Oh, yeah.
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 This is exactly what I think of.
Adele also not on the list. There is somebody here at the station that thinks we're crazy, and they'll come in.
Well,
Am I nuts?
There's a difference between, so what we have to do for the female artist, it's not just vocals, it's not just writing, it's not just performance, it's what we thought the best of that whole combination was. So obviously, yes, there are more talented vocalists than some people we have on our list, but it's female artists as an artist as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, again, we had 3 rounds. You're going to leave some people out.
You can have that argument at 12:55.
Yeah, I mean, like if I would understand,
he's going to be coming hot.
If we had like a 13-round draft and Mariah Carey got left, I'm like, okay, We screwed
whoever
something up.
it was that I met at the water cooler was hot.
Am I nuts?
Next time we'll do a soccer starting 11, and everybody will be happy.
All right, the Travis and Sliwa Show has teamed up, as you guys know, with Waba Grill to give away lunch for your office. Listen to them all during the Waba Grill lunch hour on 710 for the cue to call, and you could be the Waba Grill Workplace of the Week. How cool is that? Your entire workplace gets Waba Grill. That's tomorrow on 710 ESPN. Thanks to Waba Grill. Waba Grill, eat smart, be healthy. We're talking a little bit about leadership styles, right? That whatever it is that you do, and if you're in a position where you're the leader, you're the CEO of your company, or you're the head coach, or you're the head of basketball operations, or you're a player that is representing your team, not everybody's style is the same. I want to read something here from D'Angelo Russell. I mentioned a couple times here. He was on a podcast yesterday on Barstool Sports with Patrick Beverly, and he says the difference between playing with Bron and Kobe. The fact that he's got a chance to play with Bron and Kobe is great in itself, and I know you have a list here. We'll get into that in just a second. He'll just say, he goes into, I'll just go from his perspective, and Kobe was on his way out, but LeBron is more involved with everybody and everything. On the bus, he's social. On the plane, he's social. He's just more sociable. When I was with Kobe, I sat next to him on the plane in one of the back seats. I sat next to him every time and just watched and studied him, and he never talked. He was really to himself, and at the time, he was writing the book and the movie and directing and doing all that stuff, so he was locked in. But with Kobe, I've never seen anything like that. When he walked around, you know how everyone's talking and someone enters a room and everyone goes quiet? He had that about him wherever he went, and it was almost weird for him, but he embraced it, and that's really the only difference. On the floor, he was on his way out, so he really didn't have that youthfulness to him where he was bouncy, just going to get it. Bron has a different motivation. He's still writing his story. I think that's important to point out. Kobe already decided he was retiring that year. The team also had a lot of guys that were on one-year deals. He went on to say, everybody always said I was lucky I got Kobe on my way out versus when he was still through the grind because he was nasty and competitive. How you lead is completely different. The reason why I'm a fan of this conversation, because I always I looked at one of my favorite reasons for loving LeBron's game, other than I don't really find a way that you can't love LeBron's game. It reminded me a lot of Magic. I'm not telling you they're apples to apples, but leadership-wise, he's got the big smile. He's coming in, comes into the league, and all eyes are on Magic, all eyes are on LeBron. How they play the game, there's some similarities of wanting to be a pass-first player. Kobe always reminded me of Jordan, where, and stylistically, but I think leadership-wise, both of those guys led in such different ways. It's unique to see that however you get your success, look how different these guys are, and D'Lo got both of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, too, because I covered the second half of Kobe's career, and I was around him a lot. He was tough to play with by his own admission. He was not for everybody by his own admission. He could be brutal with teammates, sometimes even mean. But I also think Kobe, over the course of his second half of his career, when he was clearly the franchise face and the unquestioned top dog, he evolved as a leader. And I think he started making more of an effort to really understand his teammates as people and recognizing the importance of it.
Can you give me an idea at what stage do you think? You're talking pre-Powell or once Powell?
I actually think, definitely once Powell was there, I actually think it started to happen around the season that they got Powell, but before he arrived, in part because Kobe entered that season having demanded a trade.
Yep.
He had alienated a lot of Laker fans. Sure. I remember I was at the season opener, the home opener. Kobe got booed during the introductions, which is incredibly rare for Kobe. And, Kobe being Kobe, he won him over by the end of the game because that's what Kobe always did. But, I think in certain ways he kind of had to make that effort because he had already kind of pitted himself against the team, by basically saying y'all ain't good enough. And they essentially brought back the same team that he didn't think was good enough other than Fisher for Smush Parker. It turned out Andrew Bynum was much better than anybody, including Kobe, had expected.
Yep.
Other guys like Jordan Farmar, Ronnie Turioff, they started having growth in their own games, they became a better group. Lamar Odom was much better suited to be a number 3 than a number 2. But I think he started making, strides that way. And then the flip side, as much as LeBron can be...
Can I, before you flip, I'm going to stay with Kobe for a quick second. If the goal is winning, and that's all that matters to Kobe, just like you adjust your game on the floor, you have to adjust your game off the floor as well. The way Kobe won with Shaq was different than how Kobe was going to win without Shaq. The way Kobe led or didn't have to lead or whatever his personality and his style was under that Shaq regime had to change once he reached a point where it's like, this ain't apples to apples. If I'm the same person, unless I change, I don't know if we're going to win. And I'm talking about from a leadership perspective, the way you're saying that he kind of started changing. Well, he started adapting. Why? He adapted because what was Kobe's number one goal? I want to win.
Right.
Why did Kobe want to leave the Lakers for a brief moment? He didn't think he could win here, right? Like there was, or you got to make a decision between Shaq and me, whatever the case is. I think that to me I find fascinating because if I'm here just to win, do I have to change my personality, my leadership, my relationships with other players, and that's going to help me win? Cool, then I'm going to change it.
Yeah, look, again, Kobe was a demanding leader. I mean, he even with some of these nuances that I think he brought to leadership and, personalizing it a little more to different guys and recognizing the importance of, again, understanding these guys as humans, he was absolutely brutal at times. Again, by his own admission, he was not for everybody. But LeBron, though, who I think is much more one of the guys, he's more personable.
Yeah.
LeBron also, though, says all the time, he is comfortable with being uncomfortable. He's also comfortable making everybody else uncomfortable. His first season with the Lakers, he was openly wanting all of his teammates to be traded for Anthony Davis. You think that made Brandon Ingram feel good? Alonzo Ball, Josh Hart, Kuzma, who could have been in one of those deals. Like Rajon Rondo talked about how that trade deadline was difficult for the team. Rondo was a veteran. He'd been through just about everything at that point. LeBron can do, as I like to call it, the passive-aggressive thing. There are times when LeBron, as personable as he is, I think he is really personal, and I think he's very communal as a leader.
Yeah.
He's not above making guys feel uncomfortable either. Remember the fit in or fit out thing with Kevin Love?
Yeah. Yep.
That made Kevin Love uncomfortable.
But doesn't that also go back to ultimately the foundation of it is I'm trying to win.
Yeah.
And if this is what I have to do to win, then this is what I'm going to do to win. And as much differences as you might have in two different type of players and leaders, the common thread is I'm just trying to win. And if I have to act this way in order to win, or I have to take this type of initiative, I will do that if it ultimately leads to my chances increasing of winning.
Look, leadership is not easy. Leadership isn't fun. Leadership's not for everyone. Like Kevin Durant has basically said in so many words, I'm not really built to lead that way. Like he is very much a lead by, I guess, example and professionalism, and just
he just wants to come and you're right. Watch me do what I do. Hopefully, you can also kind of follow the lead.
Yeah, and look, he also leads by being really damn good.
Yeah,
and I think he's very professional. But he's not a leader that way. I mean, just the reason that I knew from the beginning.
Yeah.
That the Kyrie, KD, Harden thing would never work.
There wasn't a leader on
Not
that.
a leader among the three of them.
You know what's funny? I feel like KD cuts himself short when he says that. I thought in OKC he was a leader. I thought he was.
Well, he may have been.
Until he decided to leave. I thought, KD was, you felt like, hey, that's the head of the snake. That is the leader. You watched him with his relationship with the players. You felt like, his own teammates, you felt like he was.
But it also felt like that environment was very comfortable to lead in because they were always surpassing expectations. Like everything they did was gravy. Like they were ahead of the curve. I remember in 2010 when the Lakers played them in, I believe it was the opening round.
Gasol tip-in?
Yeah, that same series.
Yep.
I remember after the Lakers beat them in 6.
That series was a problem.
Yes, it was.
Gasol doesn't get that tip in.
I remember Kobe saying after that series, man, it is good we beat these guys now because I'm telling you, you ain't going to be beating them easy anytime soon moving forward.
Who are the other players, list that you have?
I believe this is the list
Okay.
of guys who played with both Kobe and LeBron. D'Angelo Russell, as we discussed.
Yep.
Larry Nance Jr., Jordan Clarkson, Ronny Turioff, Shannon Brown, Ira Newble, Chris Mim, Dwight Howard, Carlos Boozer, Shaq, Joe Smith, Antoine Jameson, Jason Capono, Kent Bazemore, Trevor Ariza, and then the 3 most kind of random, Kobe Carl, Trey Johnson, who only played 23 total games in the NBA, but somehow managed to be with both Kobe and LeBron, and then Jelani McCoy.
Wow, that's actually a longer list than I thought. But I mean, it makes sense. I mean, obviously, Kobe's in the league 20 years. Bron, as long as he's been in the league.
I think it's and there was some considerable overlap between the two. I think that's the list.
That's interesting. And what makes, I think, D'Lo's a little bit more unique, D'Lo, his rookie year playing with Kobe's final year.
Yeah.
And then also making a real run with LeBron to the Western Conference Finals. So
could be LeBron's final year.
Yeah.
This year.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah, he's got that player option next year. All right, we got the dump coming up next. Stay right here. Travis and Sliwa Show, 710 ESPN.
Time for everything we haven't gotten to today. Yes, it's time for the dump.
All right, we were looking at the Mets are being compared to some of the most underachieving super teams. Okay? And you go back, there's a list of teams out there that you thought, you just kind of assumed right out the gate, yeah, they're going to be fine. Actually, does this fall on the list when LeBron, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade got together in the first year? And that's the year Mavs beat them. Mavs beat them in the first year, right? But I guess you can't say, can you say they underachieved when they ultimately stayed together for 4 years and won 2 NBA championships and got to 4 NBA finals. It's just that first year you were like, what?
Well,
they're losing to the Dallas Mavericks?
It's part of that because that team was the rare one superstar team, like true superstar, because Jason Kidd was past his prime, Sean Marion was past his prime.
Who was there? Tyson Chandler on
Right.
that team.
You know, was a defensive player of the year caliber player, but he wasn't thought of as a superstar.
Mm-hmm.
And there had also been so much hype with that team. They perpetuated their own hype, like not just LeBron with the decision, but remember like that big like monster truck pole rally style thing they did in the arena.
Not one, not two,
exactly.
not three.
They put so much hype on themselves.
Mm-hmm.
They could have won 4 straight, and it somehow would have felt like they didn't meet expectations.
Okay, let's go to some of these underachieving super teams, all right? And again, this is Mets being compared to some of these other underachieving. The difference, by the way, with the Mets is they didn't even get to the playoffs. They decided at the trade deadline it's over. So at least some of these other teams like I'm going to mention, Lakers 03-04. When Karl Malone and Gary Payton came to the Lakers, AK, I'm sure everybody was just saying, okay, well, when's the parade? Might as well just line up when the parade's going to be. They didn't just lose to the Pistons. They got dominated by the Pistons and were lucky to win 1 game against the Pistons. That, to me, that's a super team that underachieved, of course, but they got to the NBA Finals. The Mets didn't even – we're done talking about the Mets, and it's August 3rd or whatever it is.
Okay, really quick.
Yeah.
There is so much, I think, revisionist history regarding the Lakers in that 2004 Finals. I know they were heavily favored, but both Karl Malone and Horace Grant.
Yep.
Horace Grant wasn't available at all. Karl Malone was a shell of
basically
himself.
He had the knee issue,
right?
right?
That was a big thing, but also too, that Pistons team is talked about like this little engine that somehow made it happen. Ben Wallace is one of the greatest defensive players ever, Hall of Famer. Chauncey Billups, I believe, is a Hall of Famer. You had
Finals MVP.
Yeah, you had Rip Hamilton, who was a multiple-time All-Star. Rasheed Wallace, multiple-time All-Star. Like, they were so – everyone talks about them like they were this starless organization. No, they weren't.
What they weren't is you had the names on the other side.
Right.
I mean, look, you had Kobe and Shaq in there. We've done it. We've won together. The experience that they had, and then you were adding these other names. You still had Derek Fisher. You still had Rick Fox. You still had all these guys. I get what you're saying, but I also see it from the other perspective of I know what you're saying. What you're trying to say is that let's stop pretending like they didn't have any talent.
If you want to say that you still think even without Horace Grant, even without Karl Malone, even with Rick Fox hobbled during that period, if you still think Kobe and Shaq should have been enough,
yeah,
fine. Like, okay, fine. But that Pistons team was hardly some JV squad that somehow made it happen. They were really good. They went back to the finals the next year.
Yeah. Was that the Spurs and the Pistons? That, I think, was the highest-rated NBA Finals that they had, right?
Oh, yeah.
Just the defensive. 84-88. The only other team that just comes to mind, 2007 Patriots. They go 18-0. Mm-hmm. Faced the Giants in the Super Bowl. Obviously, we all know what happened there. But there's another one that just one of the most underachieving, you could call it, super teams. You sent us a clip yesterday that NFL is considering adopting the XFL kickoff rules. Okay, do you want to explain a little bit what those rules are? And you sent the actual clip of it, and just explain what the kickoff rules are.
Basically, in a nutshell, the kickoff returner would be in like a zone of the field that I think has been determined as like the return zone, something like that.
Okay.
And the kickoff team will begin much closer to that returner. And
so you don't have as much steam.
Yeah, you don't have as much
less
steam
time
for the
to pick up your
defenders.
speed, yep.
But also, too, you're increasing the odds of actual returns without as many violent hits, which is part of what's cutting down on kickoff returns. But also, too, you're going to have fewer touchbacks, which is also what is cutting down on kickoff returns. The goal is to get more of them. I think it's a great idea. I think it could be really good.
When you used to watch the NFL 20 years ago, all right, I'm going to take back when I was in like high school and college. And a lot of the networks promoted this as well. You would watch NFL highlights, and it was Troy Polamalu coming out of nowhere and laying out a guy.
You got jacked up.
It was Ray Lewis getting decleated, right? And that was That was part of the NFL, and that's how they marketed the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
I will say today, the way the game is played, if you thought back in the day, hey, you start taking away those hits, people aren't going to watch. Hey, you start – I couldn't be happier with where the NFL is. The only thing I don't like, and I think a lot of people agree with this, the way they protect the quarterback, protect him. But let's be a little bit more conscious of, is that really an unsportsmanlike conduct? Is it not? That's the only one that, I hesitate for.
I've got one more.
And before you say that one, would you agree that today's NFL, and even if they applied something like this, adopting the XFL kickoff rules, it's not going to stir people away from not watching the game of the NFL. And I think those who were maybe into those hits before, or maybe thought, oh my gosh, this is what the NFL is all about, I don't think it's drawn people away.
The league is plenty violent enough. NFL football remains pretty violent. I feel like if it's not violent enough for you, you might be something of a psychopath. You were talking about the quarterback protection rules, which I agree can go too far. Not even because they're trying too hard to protect the quarterback. I think sometimes they're doing it in ways that penalize the defender for something they really have no control over, basically not being able to stop full speed momentum for what can be like centimeters of hittable space or non-hittable space. I think the same thing happens often with the targeting rules and the illegal hits. Sometimes I think like the defenders are put in a position where they have too narrow of a space where they can hit. Like at some point you have to accept the fact you want to make it safer. You can't make the game safe. It's impossible to make this game
By
safe.
the way, you watching at all quarterbacks on Netflix? Okay, so watching that, and this is as clean as the game can be right now, these guys are still getting hit like crazy. And they're showing the replays and this. That's in today's game where you're saying, I think that's actually the best way you can put it. You could try to make the game safer. It will never be safe.
Right.
That's a perfect description.
It's impossible
of the
to
NFL.
make safe, but you also want to make sure it's fair for defenders. Because I think defenders are often put in a position where they can't really do their job.
Emily, can you explain this Cleveland Browns story about United Airlines plane or something along those lines? What's going on
So
there?
apparently, a United Airlines plane that was flying the Cleveland Browns got delayed at the next place I went to by 40 minutes because of the extreme amount of cleaning they had to do. Apparently, the plane was trashed. There's trash everywhere. People found out that it was delayed because it was doing a professional sports team. People found out that it was the Cleveland Browns because of some of the signage that was on some of the trash that was left. Overall, it was kind of an investigative piece to get to the point that it was the Browns that trashed this plane, kind of did whatever they wanted to it, which is kind of, I don't know, it's not a great look to be the people that trash a plane.
I'm not saying that you have to do this. Nobody has to do it. I personally do it. I went to the movie theater yesterday. We ordered some popcorn. We ordered this. We ordered that. When I leave the movie theater, my trash is coming with me. Okay? And I'm not, listen, I get it. A lot of people don't do it. If I go to a baseball game and I ate whatever I ate or I drank a beer or something like that,
you should throw your own trash away. Let's just say that.
That's going with me I'm going to take that trash. And those aren't places where you have to do it. You don't. There's a lot of people. You go look around. I mean, you go to a movie theater. There's trash everywhere. There's this and that. On a plane, too, it's the same exact thing. You pick up at situations like that, or are you like, no, I'm not supposed to pick up?
Well, the plane, I don't think is a really great example because usually
they're coming. Yeah, they're coming. Yeah, that's
I mean, but I tell them, or I give them the trash. I don't leave it for them. When they come by, I cooperate to help them do their job. The people I feel the worst for all the time.
It's got to be sporting events.
The championship games, when they drop all the confetti, that's the worst job in the world. The person who has to clean up all the confetti, that's awful because it's everywhere.
Well, how about,
and it's getting blown all over the place. It's everywhere.
Laker games, you got the streamers, right? Streamers.
Yeah,
after
but at least
game.
you can pick up a streamer. They're easy to pick up. The confetti.
Confetti's a little different.
It's everywhere.
Well, you have kind of like a blower on the backpack and stuff, so they can get it to some
it's a
place.
vacuum kind of thing.
They're not bending over and picking up every single individual piece.
But when you blow it around, though,
you're going to have a piece of duct tape.
You're going to spread more confetti everywhere.
Yeah, it's a vacuum.
It's impossible to get all the confetti up.
The only good news is that it's the last game, so they have plenty of time to clean up whatever they got to clean up. All right, let's do some Super Crosstalk.
ESPN ESPN AM 710 Los Angeles. KRDC AM 1110 Pasadena, Los Angeles.
K256CX 99.1 FM Pasadena, Los Angeles.
It's the greatest segment in LA sports radio history.
Oh my God. When the shows come together for magic on the radio.
It will only grow stronger. Super Crosstalk.
Are we ready for Mason and Ireland to join Travis and Slee?
Super Crosstalk begins.
Super Crosstalk presented by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out. That's what a hamburger is all about.
It's time for Super Crosstalk.
Mason and Ireland in the house.
Outrage!
This is an outrage.
It doesn't happen. It doesn't happen too often where I just go to get some water in the kitchen, and by the time I leave, John's like, "You're an idiot," and everybody else on your show
is an idiot.
Am I nuts?
Yeah. No, you guys are nuts. Here's the thing. So I didn't hear this segment. I don't know who you all took, but there were 12 people taken.
Yeah, so we did our draft, and the draft is best female artist because Taylor
I can do the whole list. Do you
All
want to hear the whole
rattle
list?
them real quick.
All right. Taylor Swift, Whitney Houston, Alicia Keys, Aretha Franklin, Selena, Beyonce, Lauryn Hill, Madonna, Erykah Badu, Lady Gaga, Shania Twain, Janet Jackson.
It's a good list.
It's a good list.
It's a great list.
But I'm not kidding.
Wait a minute.
I'm not kidding. Adele would be number 3 overall on my list, and you guys don't have her in the
Wait a
top
minute, you don't
12.
have Adele in the top 12?
Adele on our mock draft was 17.
I can explain my reason.
Okay.
What?
I like
I'm not
Adele.
explaining anything.
I like Adele.
Yeah.
She hasn't been doing it long enough. For
What
me.
are you talking
She's on
about?
her fifth
She's got like 5 albums.
AK,
Her
AK,
first
be
album
careful.
was when she was 19.
Still
She's like 35.
She hasn't been doing
the
it
same
long
thing
enough
about
for
Taylor
me.
Swift?
She's older than Taylor Swift, I think.
I didn't take
Taylor
Taylor
Swift has way more
Although
albums.
Taylor Swift has
does
been
have
doing
way
Taylor
more
Swift's been
albums.
doing this longer.
in my
age-wise.
in my head, and I haven't really thought this out, but in my head, it's now you guys took people who are no longer alive too, right?
Yeah.
So that complicates it a little. But in my head, right now, the 3 biggest women in the world, and everybody else is 4th, are Beyonce, Taylor Swift, and Adele. That's it.
Again, I can speak just for me compared to some of these other people who got taken, certainly compared to who I took.
Who did you take? What's your list?
Aretha Franklin, Madonna, Janet Jackson.
No, that's
You
a
just
great
went
list.
That's a pretty good list.
Well,
That's a
but,
great list,
but
though.
part of where I was going is staying power and judging influence, things like that. I love Adele. I'm not knocking Adele.
But what do you have against Adele?
But there's no one on your list
Nobody-
under the age of 50.
okay.
But greatest.
So if you're gonna go that way, how is Ella Fitzgerald on nobody's list? I mean, she was
because we only had like 12.
Because Michael's not here.
Right.
Well, he'll be here. He'll be here shortly.
Yeah, he'll put Ella
Etta James.
Fitzgerald.
All right.
Etta James.
Etta James is great. But this is also, at least my list. Who
did you take?
Is just specific to me.
All right, who'd you take?
Yeah. Alicia Keys is one of my favorite
Okay, I
artists.
love Alicia Keys.
Lauryn Hill is one of the best hip-hop artists, and I love what she's done for now 25 years.
Okay.
And the last one, because it's the first concert I've ever been to, was Shania Twain. Now,
Okay.
I'm not saying Shania Twain's
Now,
better than the
Now,
artist.
I like all three
I've
of
seen
I like
some-
all 3 of those people, and I think the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill is one of the top 10
It
albums
is.
of all time.
Yes.
Having said that, Adele buries her body of work. How much it costs to get a ticket?
So you might be right.
Touring,
but I'm not an Adele guy, so I had to take who was the artist that I was listening to.
So it is all subjective.
Adele has had a professional career for all intents and purposes of about 15 years. That's not very long.
Right.
What do you have against Adele?
I like
I
Adele.
don't get it.
What do you have against Rich Paul?
Yeah, what? Why do you not like Rich and
Clutch
Adele?
has too much influence over the Lakers,
This is a Clutch
and
thing,
I'm
isn't
taking it out on everyone.
This is a Clutch thing.
Listen
I just
today
figured
on
it out.
Locked On Lakers.
They just brought in Cam Reddish. That's a bridge too far for Adele. I'm sorry. I got to take a stand, damn
We
it.
got to the bottom
By
of
the way,
it.
my number 1 isn't even in your top 12. Who's Pink? I love Pink.
Pink was a tough one to leave
I've
off.
seen her 5 times. I'm seeing her again at SoFi in a couple of weeks. I love.
She's a hell of a
Pink. She puts
performer.
on an
So
amazing
if you
show.
have your top 3, who are your top 3?
Adele,
Pink,
and Whitney.
No Beyonce. Wow.
I took Beyonce.
It's tough.
I'm going Whitney.
Nobody took Britney?
I take Whitney.
No one
took
took Britney.
We're going to go see Rihanna, or not Rihanna, Beyonce.
Anyone take Rihanna?
No, Rihanna's got more number one hits than any artist, any female artist in history. I would say we're getting ready. I think we're going to get tickets and go see Beyonce at SoFi in a couple of weeks. She's there, although it's a busy weekend, like September the 1st. Isn't there a bunch of stuff going on right then?
Well, it's the start of the NFL season.
Start of the NFL. Don't we have our golf tournament that weekend?
I think September 8th is
September
golf.
8th is golf. Oh, right. It's always tied to the start of the season.
And Taylor Swift will be doing her 33rd straight show.
Yes.
At SoFi.
I just read, Funch just sent me a story. There is as much police presence at Taylor Swift concerts at these this week as there were for the Super Bowl.
There's about the same amount of people.
Yeah, there's as much police presence for Taylor Swift as there was for the biggest game in
Although
the world.
I haven't heard of a lot of fights breaking out at Taylor Swift
No!
concerts. Like,
not a lot.
a lot of fights break out at like Ram Niner games, but I don't hear a lot breaking out at
What
that.
percentage do you think we're going to get, Emily, tomorrow? It's the eve of the Taylor Swift, so Saturday's the concert.
Just give her the day off.
What percentage? I mean, we get it.
I think
I'm sick.
We get it.
A good 60% will be Adele.
60's good.
Yeah, that's good. By the way, I went to the LA Times today, so LATimes.com, and they've got little tabs at the top, and it's like news, sports, politics, entertainment. Taylor Swift. She has her own section at LA Times.
It's like the new Barbie, like how Barbie had her own Google.
Yeah.
This is the new thing with Taylor
It's a
Swift.
new thing. Exactly.
She was talking about, you said, how long were people waiting for merchandise?
5.5 hours in line just to buy merchandise that sucks.
Now, Em, do you have your earplugs? I was told, and all
Good.
the message boards say, bring earplugs because it is the loudest show.
Yeah, I have earplugs to bring. I usually bring them to most concerts. I want to protect my ears at this point.
Yeah. I'm going Monday. You're going. When's Momo going?
Tomorrow night.
Yeah, tomorrow.
So everybody will have a
She's
review
going
by
first.
Tuesday.
Ramona's going first, then Emily, then you.
Okay.
And then, Emily, you're going again at the end, right?
Yeah, on Wednesday. Following Wednesday.
Boy, you are a total Swiftie.
Well,
nobody's more Swiftie.
Okay, so did you guys
than
hear?
Emily.
Did you guys hear when you were driving home yesterday when we brought Emily on the show?
No.
All right, so here's why we brought her on. There is a story. Let's say you pay top dollar to go see Taylor Swift, okay? And you know that she plays 44 songs. You don't know necessarily the order because she mixes it up sometimes. And obviously, as I've said many, many times on this radio station, SoFi is overrated. The lines are too long.
Ridiculous.
The food sucks.
Yeah.
And
They didn't invest
ridiculous.
enough.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, no. It was only $5 billion.
So,
They
they
should've
cut
gone
corners.
6.
But here's
Exactly.
the story we asked Emily about. Apparently, there are people that are wearing adult diapers to the Taylor Swift shows because they don't want to miss anything. They don't want to get up to go to the bathroom and get stuck in a line. They don't want to get stuck in concessions. They just want to see the whole show.
This is why I'm waiting to see Taylor Swift at Ballmer's Arena. There's
Yeah.
no bathroom
There's
wait
no
whatsoever.
toilet.
Just right in and out. Boom.
But so
That's why
if
he built
you,
it that way.
Andy, you first. If you invested top dollar, anything wrong with now? This is something they do. IndyCar drivers do this. NASCAR drivers do it.
Super old people do this?
Astronauts do it.
Paul Pierce should have done this?
Yes, exactly. So it's not unique to Taylor Swift fans. Would you? Let's say you paid, $2,500, and you got a great seat, and she's putting on a great show, but you really got to go.
Excuse me.
That's Wendy Williams.
That was me. I got to own that.
Andy, okay. You don't obviously need to tell anyone. Okay to sport an adult diaper.
It's okay, but man, it's a good thing SoFi is like outdoors
Yeah.
for all intents and purposes to help that smell. Because enough people peeing at once, you're going to smell that.
Sure.
I think it is a rare person that is going to wear adult diapers. I don't think this is going to be a common thing at the. I
guarantee you, there's 75,000 people. At least one of them's diapering
Oh,
up.
somebody is. Somebody
Yeah.
is. No question about it. And by the way, I think we were talking about Run Pee yesterday. This app that tells you
Created
where
by Carson Palmer and his brother Jordan.
tells you where the slow part in the movie is, so you can go to the can and not miss anything. It's a very useful feature. I think that should exist for the Taylor Swift concert. And let me help you. When she sings that long ass song about Jake Gyllenhaal and leaving her sweater at his house,
It's a scarf.
That's hit the can. That's hit the can time as soon as she starts singing about Jake Gyllenhaal.
No, it's her best lyrical song in her entire discography.
That's
Come
like
on, Mace.
Grateful Dead.
Emily, who is she dating now?
She's single.
Yeah.
She's not
She
dating
broke
anyone.
up with that Joe Alwyn guy.
She broke up with Joe Alwyn, who
Right.
she was dating for 6
Travis
years,
Kelce
then
is
dated Maddie
interested.
Healy, and now she's single.
Well, that's where I was going with this. Who would be a good if we were setting up Taylor Swift?
Yeah.
Who has enough? And you'd need, obviously you need your own career.
Austin Reeves.
Harry Styles.
She's already dated Harry Styles.
Reeves doesn't
Oh,
have
she
enough.
dated Harry Styles?
Back in
Wow.
1989.
That was a
Come on.
power couple.
She dated Tom Hiddleston for a while.
Yes. Getaway Car.
That's a good answer. Is that song about him?
Yes.
What's the gist of it?
So Getaway Car is Taylor Swift dated Calvin Harris and at the Met Gala in 2016.
Calvin Harris is a DJ, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And Met Gala in 2016, she's out with Calvin Harris. They're kind of probably going to end their relationship. She meets Tom Hiddleston. She also meets Joe Alwyn, but she leaves the Met Gala with Tom Hiddleston in a car. And that's what Getaway Car's about.
And then they broke up, and she wrote an album about how much Tom
had another
Hiddleston
No, she actually
sucks.
only wrote like
Yeah,
2
her
songs
album.
about Tom
She
Hiddleston.
did
Then
write,
she
she
did,
wrote one about John Mayer.
Yes,
Poor
she
John
did.
Mayer's getting crap
Oh,
right
poor
now.
John Mayer. Oh.
Well, John Mayer has run through a list of famous women that is super impressive.
Yeah, I would not really recommend John Mayer to any woman that I've ever met.
John, to go back to your original question,
Yeah.
there is no event, there's no movie, there's no concert, there's no sporting event where you need to put on adult diaper to enjoy the 3.5-hour show and not take a second to go use the restroom.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of like James Cameron when Avatar 3 or I forget what it was. Avatar 2
I
came
saw
out.
Oppenheimer last night.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's 3+
Okay.
hours. I go to the restroom.
Yeah, you just go to the
You
restroom.
just go
And
to
by
the
the way,
bathroom.
it's the same with Jim Cameron said, yeah, I mean, I made a 3.5-hour movie. Go to the can when you need to.
Well,
it's
I will
okay.
say,
It's
say
okay.
this, Lee. You've worked a lot of NBA games. I'm not there yet, but there are many, many NBA announcers in their 80s.
Oh, man.
Who wear adult diapers?
Wait, I'm just saying, if the games go triple overtime, and like where we sit, this, Lee, where we sit at Staples or Crypto.com.
You've got
Arena,
easy access to a bathroom, right? Just right up behind
but it's
you.
public. So if you get up, like, let's say you want to go at halftime.
Yeah.
Like, Slee knows this. Michael and I are in it, like, as soon as the half ends, I throw it to Slee as quickly as humanly possible.
You're standing with
Right.
like 3 seconds left because that's your only window to
That's
go.
my only shot. Or you could go to the Chick Hearn press room where, for some reason, and
There's a
Andy,
stall
you know
and a
this,
can.
Right.
That's it.
There are two. There's
That's it.
one stall and one urinal.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
And the line wraps all the way outside the building, and so you got to go, and you got to go fast. That's why, by the way, Steve Ballmer made a point of
Oh,
saying
yeah. No,
something
it
about
totally
the
is.
toilets.
Yeah.
Because crypto doesn't have enough toilets.
Yeah,
You
I
have
mean,
every-
we joke about it, but it's actually a good thing.
you have every beat writer using that toilet.
Yeah.
You have every
no,
media
and then-
person.
and then you have, like,
you have
the
Kanye coming
Kardashians.
in or
Yeah,
something.
Right. And but it's even worse at the Clipper games. They used to, Andy, you remember this, Club Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
So the media was not the only people in the press room. Donald Sterling would credential anybody who he knew.
Jeez.
So there was every man.
Penny
woman,
Marshall
and
was a
child.
regular.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was a regular.
The
I went to a Mariah Carey concert once, sitting behind Penny Marshall. I swear to God. She, God bless her. I love Penny Marshall. Made great movies, all that stuff. Did nothing but eat nachos during the entire concert.
God bless
She
her.
ate one thing of nachos, then she went back and she got another thing of nachos. I'm like, good for you, Penny. I love nachos.
Were they? They were one of the original power couples. Penny Marshall and Rob Reiner.
Oh, yeah.
Were married for
Sure.
a long time.
Sure.
Laverne and Meathead.
Yes.
Yep.
Do you guys ever ghost anybody? Somebody texts you. Is there any? We were talking about this a little bit earlier.
Well, Mason never returns texts.
I'm
don't?
not big on returning texts.
You initiate some texts. I mean,
I
on
do.
the show, we're
on
doing
the show,
stuff.
I'll text you,
You
about.
guys, you initiate.
Yeah, I'll initiate with you guys.
So you're not good at returning.
and
texts?
I'm good at initiating with the afternoon guys too. I'll text them while I'm
Okay.
While I'm
If somebody doesn't text you back,
yeah.
do you take it personal?
It's funny. Chris Morales is he's left that thing on that says read. Where it says delivered and then the message is read.
Yeah.
If I don't get immediate response from somebody who I know read the message, then I get pissed off. Does that make sense?
John,
what are you
there's no
smirking about?
pause.
Nobody is as bad at returning texts as you.
No, I'm not. But it's not ghosting. Ghosting is an active thing. Like
Ghostif is choosing not.
You
to.
guys text me at 9:00 at night. I'm not on the texter at 9:00 at night. I'm done with the texter. I put the texter away for the day. But so I'm not a big returner of texts late at night. You guys are always texting during stuff. I'm like, no, I'm stoned and I'm watching a game. Leave me the.
Yeah, it's not ghosting.
You're in the hot tub.
Yeah.
It's not ghosting if you're too high to return the text.
Correct.
That's not ghosting.
No, ghosting is deliberately avoiding somebody. Like, for example, you've been dating somebody, and they send you a text, and you're like, I'm done with you. I'm just not going to return the text. And
It's
hope
awful.
It goes away.
So
Yeah,
what I do is if I text some person or a group of people and they don't respond to the text, then they're just out. Like I don't bother.
They're out, meaning
I
won't
will
text them anymore?
I'm not texting like, hey, respond to this or anything. I'm just like, okay, they don't care enough to respond. I had one the other day. I sent to Mason and Bergman.
Okay.
I sent you guys a text when it came out that Pat McAfee was not going to do radio.
Right.
And I said, hey, McAfee's not doing radio. What's that mean for us? No response from either one of them. Gave up on them. Got my answer somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, here's the. I got no idea, so you're asking the wrong guy.
Right.
I don't keep track of the corporate politics and who's going where and what show's going to be on and all that stuff.
But you're the insider on all
I'm
this.
not. I am the least inside person.
Obviously, he's not.
I am the ultimate outsider.
He turns off his texter at 4:20
yes,
every day.
Exactly. Don't hit me up on my texter.
Stop texting Mace. All right, Super Crosstalk is brought to you by In-N-Out Burger. In-N-Out Burger, that's what a hamburger is all about. Mason and Ireland coming up next.